afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yankee Stadium in New York City.
Game 1 of the ALCS was over almost before it started.
Drill deep to right field. Did he get enough? That ball is gone. See ya.
After a nearly perfect regular season, the Yankees are perfect to this point in the playoffs. Game 2 from Yankee Stadium, next.
This is the Sun America NBC pregame show. The 1998 American League Championship Series. Today, it's Game 2, the Cleveland Indians versus the New York Yankees.
October afternoon baseball at Yankee Stadium. 57 degrees in the Bronx as Game 2 approaches. A pair of veteran right-handers will go. David Cone, 20-7 for the year for New York. Only so-so in a couple of outings against Cleveland. Charles Nagy, 15-10 for the Tribe, but he did his best work in September. He also pitched well in 2 outings this year against the Yanks, and he's coming off a very fine performance at Fenway Park in a Game 3 Division Series win over the Red Sox. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium. I'm joined, of course, by Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. A lot of people, Joe, fans, but even some baseball people are saying these Yankees look nearly invincible, but it's a manager's job to worry.
Well, you're right, Bob, and the Yankee pitchers have been so dominant that they probably make the entire team feel invincible. But Joe Torre realizes that they've only won 1 game in this series, and if Cleveland wins this ball game today, they will be going back to Cleveland with the momentum on their side. And they have proven that they can beat the Yankees in Cleveland as they did last year. But you know what? This Yankee team is so good, they probably shouldn't bother themselves with such small details.
Well, if Cleveland somehow manages to win today, then whatever's gone on during the regular season or the playoffs to this point won't matter much. The Indians will go back to Cleveland feeling good about themselves. How do they feel about themselves right now? Keith Olbermann is the man who knows.
Bob, manager Mike Hargrove of the Indians is still being politically correct enough to say if there is a Game 5, but other members of this team are a little bit looser. For much of the early afternoon, catcher Sandy Alomar was traipsing through the clubhouse wearing a skeleton mask, screaming at the top of his lungs in a high-pitched falsetto and threatening all comers with a bat. That's how loose the Indians are, and none of them were reported to be too scared to take the field this afternoon. Let's see how the Yankees are doing. Jim Gray is in the Yankee dugout. Jim?
Well, thank you, Keith. If they're not scared, they ought to be. The Yankees have won 11 straight. They've given up just 3 runs in 36 innings here in the postseason. They're very confident. They're very relaxed. We spoke to Joe Torre. Joe Torre went on to tell us, he says, there's not one negative thought in our entire clubhouse. We expect to win every game that we play here in the postseason. Torre said that his biggest problem right now is that his relief pitchers aren't getting a whole lot of work, and he said, if that's my biggest problem, I'm in pretty good shape because I'm going to ride the starters until they can't go anymore. Bob?
Jim, Keith, thanks very much. David Cone and Charles Nagy getting ready. And we're set to for Game 2 from Yankee Stadium. We'll have the lineups and the first pitch when we come back.
This is the Sun America NBC pregame show. Sun America, the retirement specialist.
Another sellout of 57,000 expected for this League Championship Series game, but it is the proverbial late arriving crowd. Still many empty seats. Some folks coming from offices or schools to be here for the late afternoon start. The lights are already on, and this game obviously will end in darkness, but still, Joe, it's nice to see the occasional postseason afternoon game.
Well, it will be great. I mean, I think you see the ball better in the daytime if you're a hitter. And the great thing today, Bob, there's not any sun out, so it won't be any shadows over the field to hinder the hitters as they pick the ball up from the pitcher. So this looks like a perfect day for a baseball game. Looks like a perfect day for hitters, man. Let's have some hitting from both sides.
As the Yankees take the field, we might point out that the Cleveland Indians have lost 8 consecutive openers of playoff series or World Series, but they've come back to win 5 of the 7 game 2s in that span, hoping to duplicate that today and even this series. And as a matter of fact, although the Indians have fallen behind, obviously, in their past 7 postseason series by losing game 1, they've come back to win 4 of those 7 series. Almost nobody hit for them last night against David Wells. The exception was Manny Ramirez, the only Indian with 2 hits, one of which was a 2-run home run that spoiled Wells' shutout in the 9th.
And let's take a look at David Cone. He had an excellent season, 20 wins, had a great run support as well. He was second only to Tim Wakefield. But what he does so well is he throws from a lot of different angles. He changes speeds. He has all the pitches, fastball, curveball, slider, change, and a splitter. But he throws from so many different angles, seems like he has maybe 15 or 20 pitches. So that will be the key, trying to pick the ball up from where he's throwing it, different angles. And let's take a look at the defense, and pretty good defense last night by Derek Jeter at shortstop. Made one of the greatest plays I've ever seen for a shortstop. And you see he was 3rd in the American League in fielding percentage last year, but very fine shortstop, good center fielder. They have a pretty good defense. Not great, but good.
Let's take another look at the play you mentioned.
And this is about strength. You have to be very strong to make this play. I'm not sure that there are many shortstops playing today who can make that play. To be able to throw it that hard from that deep a position and that accurately, that's all about strength. Not about agility or anything else. That's strength right there.
Joe Torre was considering 2 important factors in starting David Cone in game 2 of this series after he started game 3 of the division series against Texas. 1, he's thinking, although the forecast is pretty good as we understand it for this weekend in Cleveland, that it's more likely to be cold in Cleveland than here. So he gets Cone a day game start at Yankee Stadium. It's 57 degrees as we await the first pitch. But Cone has experienced a little bit of numbness in his hand in cold weather after the surgery following the problem with the aneurysm he had in his pitching shoulder a couple of years back. Also, Cone is more effective on 5 days rest than on 4 days rest. In fact, on 5 days rest, his ERA has been under 2 for the past 4 months. On 4 days rest, it's at nearly 4. He is pitching on 4 days rest here. But the reason why Torre is less concerned is that he threw only some 85 pitches in the rain-delayed Game 3 victory at Texas. So although he's on relatively short rest, it's after a short outing for him. And if he needs him in Game 6, then he will be pitching with the full 5 days rest if the series goes that far. So Torre has thought it through very carefully.
Well, one thing that I'm concerned about, Bob, I was watching Joe Torre and Mel Stottlemyre. They were shaking their head. Something is wrong in the dugout. And it took David Cone a long time to warm up. Maybe he wasn't able to get as loose as quickly as they thought he should, or he usually does, because there was some concern there, and you can see how intent Mel Stottlemyre is on watching David Wells. I really think that, David Cone, maybe he just did not get loose in the pen.
We'll watch him closely as Lofton steps in. Big series against Boston. 0 for 4 against Wells last night with a couple of strikeouts. Brocious in close. Lofton bluffs the bunt and takes a ball.
Kenny Lofton's going to have to get on base and set the tone for the Indians.
In the air to right center field, well hit. Bernie Williams going back to the track and has it.
He hit that ball very well, just missed pulling it. If he pulls it, it's out of the ballpark. David Cone misses with the first sinker, and he comes back with a fastball, and Kenny Lofton hits it hard. He just does not pull it. The ball moved back over the plate just enough to keep him from pulling the ball. And Bernie Williams tracks it down in center field.
So Lofton is the game's first out. And now here's Vizquel. Moved up toward the top of the order for game 2, and a called strike. The plate ump is Ted Hendry. John Shulock at first. Larry Young at second. Tim Welke at third. Jim McKean left field line. Jim Evans, who had the plate last night, is in right field this afternoon. 0-2. And Vizquel fouls it off. Again on 0-2. High and away. Vizquel hit .288 during the regular year. Two and two.
There's a little different demeanor about Cone out there on the mound, Bob. I talked to you last time about he gives you that look like Bob Gibson had, that you can't hit me. He doesn't seem to be comfortable out there yet.
A little pop back of short. Coming in is Spencer from left field. He had him played shallow, and he makes the catch.
And we talked about David Cone and how he gets hitters out. You see the pitches he has, a very effective Laredo slider. He throws that not only to right-handers, but he'll throw it a little bit to left-handers, and they have the same problem, picking it up. When your guy doesn't throw three-quarters all the time, that's where you're looking for the ball from, and when he drops down, you miss it for a split second. So that's an effective pitch against both left-handers and right-handers.
And if he gets ahead on the count, the splitter is off on the pitch, with which he finishes you off. A ball to Justice.
But he doesn't seem to be throwing as hard, Bob. That's 85-mile-an-hour fastball. And in order for the splitter to be effective, you have to throw it pretty hard.
2-0 to Justice. Three balls and no strikes. Ramirez is on deck.
Lofton had a good pitch to hit. He just barely missed it. Vizquel, I don't think, was patient enough. Justice has been patient.
Called strike.
Which means that he should get a good pitch to hit here, 3-1.
Full count.
I got a fastball up and over the middle of the plate, but there was a little movement on it. I think that bothered him. Watch, the location is not good. It's a fastball and it's up over the middle of the plate right there, and he just misses it.
It's not unusual for a pitcher, even a 20-game winner, to take a while to settle in, but you have some concerns about Cone's command here. He walks Justice.
My concern starts with the way Joe Torre and the pitching coach viewed Cone when he was going out to the mound. And it took him longer to get loose. It took him a long time to get here today. Here's a pitch sequence to Justice. That's not a good moving fastball, not a lot of life to it. As you can see, those pitches, really not a lot of life. That one had some life. Justice just misses it. Then he throws a slider. That tells you right there that he doesn't feel as comfortable with his fastball, because that normally would have been a fastball tailing away on a 3-2 pitch with no one on base.
Now the sizzling Manny Ramirez. 3 homers in 5 postseason games, including one in the 9th last night. 45 for the year. The Washington Heights product will still have the occasional brain cramp, as the players call it, in the field and on the bases. But at bat, he's very dangerous. They may get out of it here. Martinez in foul ground takes it to finish Ramirez and the Indians. After half an inning in the Bronx, no score. The Yankees have won 11 straight and 8 of 12 head-to-head against Cleveland this year. Joe Torre seeing little reason to shake things up very much, and the only change is at catcher. Posada caught Wells last night and contributed 2 hits, including a home run. Girardi is in at the bottom of the order, catching Cone today. Bernie Williams snapping out of a long postseason slump last night with a couple of hits.
There's Charles Nagy, and Nagy is capable of pitching a very fine ball game against these Yankees if he can keep the ball down. We'll be able to tell by how many ground balls he gets. He has a good sinker, slider, curveball. He has all the pitches, but he has to keep the ball down.
Knobloch takes a strike. Nagy had 2 appearances this year against the Yankees, pitched well in both of them. One no decision, the other a victory. 15-10 is pretty good, but an ERA over 5 was among the highest among American League starters. Hit sharply to Vizquel. He one-hops it and throws him out. You hit it his way, you're pretty much done.
And that's what you want if you're Charles Nagy. A lot of ground balls today as we take a look at the defense. Omar Vizquel and Kenny Lofton, 9 Gold Gloves between them. Vizquel has won 5, Lofton 4, and most people expect Vizquel to win his 6th consecutive Gold Glove this year. But that's what Nagy needs to see, a lot of ground balls. Some of them are going to find their way through the infield, but if you keep the ball down, you can stay away from big innings.
And you saw Giles in left field with Justice DHing in game 2. With 1 out, here's Jeter. Down and away for a ball. Nagy allowed 34 home runs this year. 3rd highest total in the American League. Well hit center field. Lofton takes off to the track, to the wall, up against the fence. Jeter on his way for 2, and he'll stop there. Two balls really whacked off Nagy at the outset.
This is a fastball that's straight. The other one was a sinker that Knobloch hit hard to shortstop. This is a straight fastball. It doesn't sink, stays up, and you can see Jeter tattoos it straight away center field. Lofton on the run, but can't get there in time. And Jeter hustling all the way. He knew that the ball was over his head, at least he felt it was. And he hustles all the way, and he gets to second base easily for a double.
An RBI spot for Paul O'Neill with Bernie Williams on deck. Down and in.
I felt it was important yesterday for Cleveland, to try to get ahead just to see if the Yankees could play from behind. That didn't happen. It's not important to get ahead today. Today they have to win this ball game. I mean, that's the way it's set up. You have to worry about winning. You have to do everything to win this game today. You have to play this like maybe it's game 7.
The Yankees haven't trailed yet in the playoffs. 2-0.
There you see what the Yankees 1 through 5 hitters have done in the divisional series and now in the LCS. I think only the ones on the right are really pertinent now, simply because these are you're going to face the Cleveland Indians for the next at least 4 games, and you're going to face their pitching staff.
The 2-0 to O'Neill. In the air to left, and Giles is there. That's the second out.
Interesting pitch there. It was a 2-0 breaking ball, and it was inside, and O'Neill still attacked it. Normally he doesn't do something like that. He tries to get a pitch that he can really attack. This is the breaking ball, 2-0 breaking ball, down and in. And you can see he was a little late on it. Watch where this pitch is. He's actually a little late on that pitch. He wasn't trying to go the other way. He was just late on the breaking ball, and it got in on his hands.
Talking with Chili Davis on the Yankee bench.
Chili Davis is one of the smartest hitters in all of baseball, so I can understand why he talks to him.
It's up to Bernie Williams with 2 down. Ball 1 to him. Davis missed 4.5 months of the season with an ankle injury. And then with the emergence of Shane Spencer, and with Joe Torre liking Tim Raines better in certain matchups in the postseason, he hasn't gotten much of a chance in the playoffs yet. There's a strike.
And in my opinion, this has been one of the problems Bernie Williams has had the entire postseason. he seems to, when he disagrees with an umpire's call, it seems to bother him a little bit more than it probably should. He's such a good hitter, you can always spot him one.
The 1-1 pitch. Got the inside corner. Nagy, who has twice been a 17-game winner, did not have one of his better years this year, considering the ERA, despite the record of 15-10. But he was 3-1 in September and pitched 8 strong innings in his division series victory at Boston. Allowed only 1 run in the 8-inning stint. Two and 2. His last 2 times out in the playoffs, he's really been impressive. The victory against the Red Sox. Then last year in Game 6 of the ALCS at Baltimore, he pitched 7 scoreless innings, and Cleveland eventually won it on the Fernandez home run to win the pennant. He also threw the last pitch of the World Series, which Edgar Renteria lined just past him into center field, an extra inning hit that broke Cleveland's heart. Nagy worked out of the bullpen in that game. He strikes Williams out. The Jeter double goes to waste. No score after 1.
NBC's coverage of the American League Championship Series is brought to you by Mass Mutual, the blue chip company. We help you keep your promises. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher. You either have it in you or you don't. Life is a sport. Drink it up. And by Adidas.
The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes out of Pompano Beach, Florida, is piloted today by Jim Maloney from Vienna, Virginia, providing the overhead shots. Where will the Yankees be playing come the turn of the century? Well, there was a development in that ongoing story today. A Bronx judge ruled that there can be a referendum on whether or not the city should pay for a new ballpark for the Yankees on Manhattan's west side. If polls are correct, and these things can change, most New Yorkers feel the Yankees should stay in the Bronx. So the referendum would go against the wishes of Mayor Giuliani and perhaps George Steinbrenner, if in fact the referendum comes to pass and if in fact public opinion holds.
You would see David Cohn asking the umpire if he could blow on his fingers to keep them warm, and the umpire said it's okay. In cool weather, a lot of pitchers like to be able to do that. You're not supposed to go to your mouth when you're standing on the mound unless you get the permission of the umpire.
1-0 pitch to Tomey. 2-0 as we start the second. This is David Wells signaling to Jim Tomey about that controversial play last night. The ruling was that Tomey was hit by the pitch, but it appeared pretty clear that if it got him, it barely grazed the bottom of his hand while mostly hitting the knob of the bat and then rolling out toward the mound. 2-2.
I will say this, that all of a sudden, I mean, I think the Indians are just missing pitches. They're getting some pretty good pitches to hit. That was a fastball up in the zone. Not a lot of movement on it. Every hitter that's been up there has really had a pretty good pitch to swing at, but he's been able to make enough good pitches to get them out.
On the inside corner, and Tomey sits down.
That's one of those good enough pitches to get them out, right on the inside corner. Remember, he throws the ball a little bit from the sidearm or 3/4, and the ball tails back. This ball may have been inside when it started to Tomey and then moved back over the inside corner. From that view, it doesn't look like it moved as much back over the inside corner as I thought.
Tomey didn't think so. Cohn's first strikeout. He still averages a strikeout per inning pitched. Only Roger Clemens and Pedro Martinez had a better ratio in the American League. Travis Fryman, just 2 for 17 in this, his first postseason after an all-star career in Detroit, where the Tigers were generally and also ran while he was there. A ball and a strike as we check with Jim Gray.
Thanks, Bob. Well, in between innings, Chili Davis came out of the clubhouse where he's been listening to you and Joe, and he said, tell Joe, nothing wrong with David Cohen. He's just having a little bit of trouble getting loosened up, and the reason he's having so much trouble is just like there's a long fly ball hit out into center field by, it's going to be caught by Bernie Williams. Fryman's out, but he went on to say that he's just old. Ask Joe Morgan what it was like when he was 40 years old trying to get loose. It's not easy. Bob?
Is he right?
Well, wait a minute. I said Chili was a smart hitter. I didn't say he was all that smart otherwise. No, but I agree. That was my concern, that he was having trouble getting loose because it took him so long to come in. You know, normally it doesn't take as long to get loose, but he had to stay out there and make a few extra throws. So it's good news to know that he's okay.
A strike to Brian Giles, who's had a bad ankle and then had a unique entry on the injury list earlier in the year. He missed some time because of spider bites.
Now, how did you know something like that?
I saw it on the web.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're searching the web.
Where else would you learn about spider bites? But it's true. Jammed him. He pops it back. Girardi with a nice catch right against the railing. Wants to give it to the little boy and does. Kid brought his glove. Didn't make the catch, but winds up with the baseball.
Keith Olbermann back at Yankee Stadium. Key ingredient from Mike Hargrove relative to the start of Charles Nagy of the Indians. Would Nagy find his release point early? The key, he suggested, Hargrove, if you wanted to judge it by results, did anybody come and talk to him after the first inning? Nobody said a word. Apparently, he's found his release spot. Bob, up to you.
Keith, thanks a lot. Yeah, as Hargrove put it, he's got to find his arm slot for the sinker or the splitter.
Well, I think the sinker is the most important pitch. The ball there is tailing away, but not a lot of sink on it.
As we told you, Nagy is usually among the league leaders in home runs allowed. Martinez has 3 career homers and 30 at-bats against Charlie. Bouncing ball, Thome, it's a fair ball, Nagy covers, and there's the first out in the bottom of the second.
To this point, he's had now 2 ground balls, a strikeout, and a fly ball. He wants to have more ground balls than that. He wants to have 3 out of 4 be ground balls, even if they're base hits. That ball directly over the bag. Thome comes toward Nagy and feeds it properly. They practice that a lot in spring training.
Well, here's why your buddy Chili Davis is sitting again today. For his career, Raines is 14 for 33. That's 424 with a couple of homers off Nagy. So Torre's got to go with him again. Strike one.
Well, he kind of fits well with Nagy in that Nagy throws the sinker. He moves, keeps the ball away. The ball moves away. Raines likes the ball out over the plate, and he's a good low ball hitter. Some pitchers match up very well with hitters and vice versa.
That one dips low. Nagy grew up in Fairfield, Connecticut. Says he and his brother David used to come to Yankee Stadium and watch the Yanks play all the time. And in fact, he played in some high school all-star games in this ballpark, but not as a pitcher, as a shortstop. He's 31 years old. He's been an all-star. As we mentioned, he's twice won as many as 17 games in a season. And at one time, you'd have to say he was the ace of this staff. Now they really have no true #1 guy. 2-2 as we go to Jim Gray.
Thanks, Bob. On the helmet today of Tim Raines is the name Trey, T-R-A. It's a young man named Trey Lemon, a neighbor of Tim Raines and good friend, a 7-year-old young man who passed away with brain cancer, and Timmy's wearing his name today. He's being buried in Florida. Bob?
Thanks, Jim. And Raines is a strikeout victim, the second K put in the book by Nagy.
Raines will not leave home plate. Well, with 2 strikes, you know, normally you have to go at anything close. This looks like a pretty good pitch. Take a look. Raines thought it may have been low, but home plate umpire Ted Hendry said it's a strike. You can see that it does get the plate.
Which brings up Shane Spencer with 2 out and nobody on. Which, if you have to face him, is the best set of circumstances, called strike. He had, so far as we could tell, the most productive mini season ever. You check back through the annals, He hit .373 with 10 home runs and 70 at-bats, plus 27 RBIs. Then he hit 2 more in the division series against Texas. And this is never the sort of thing you advocate, but it's part of baseball. You wonder when somebody's going to brush him back, because he's getting to feel a little too comfortable up there, isn't he? Hit hard. He's still comfortable. He's gone from a cult figure to legend in the making.
Well, you talked about brushing people back. It tells that you've been around the game a long time. They don't do that much anymore.
I don't mean hit him.
No, I agree. Well, 90% of the time when you go inside, you're not trying to hit someone. You're just trying to keep them from leaning over the outside part of the plate. But that's rarely done anymore. It's not something that you see on a daily basis. And especially with young players, they used to do it all the time just to find out. But again, you don't do much of that, I would say, in the postseason. It's weird, but they tend to stay away from that.
Brocious takes a strike.
In fact, last night when we were talking about Jared Wright and the problems that the Yankees have had with him and thinking that maybe he threw at a couple of their hitters, nothing's going to happen in the playoffs. If they feel that way, they would only try to, retaliate maybe in the regular season, but you would not do it in the playoffs. Every pitch is too important here.
We asked Hargrove, do you think it's just coincidence, or is there a reason why your team has lost 8 straight playoff or World Series openers? He says, well, part of it is coincidence, but part of it is we really don't have a true ace. We have a lot of good pitchers, a lot of number 2 and 3 and 4 guys, but no true ace to open a series for us. And as we mentioned last night, over the past few years, they've pursued the likes of Clemens and Randy Johnson and John Smoltz and David Wells and have never been able to land any of them. They hope that somebody like Wright or Cologne out of their own system will become a true ace fairly soon.
Yeah, but it takes a long time to be an ace of the caliber of the people you mentioned. And it's going to take Wright or Cologne at least 3 years before they're comfortable in that position. I really believe that if the Indians are going to get a number 1, it's going to have to be through free agency. They're going to have to get someone. Plus, you need someone that Jared Wright and Bartolo Colon can emulate and learn how to be a number 1 from. You have to gain experience to be a number 1 starter in this league.
The 1-2 pitch to Brocious. 2-2. Well, Kevin Brown's going to be out there.
Right.
Randy Johnson's going to be out there. And the Indians are a franchise that has money.
Well, I think they should, if they're thinking of winning a championship, they probably should pursue a couple of those guys or try to talk. They tried to get Randy Johnson, I'm told, before the trading deadline, and it didn't work out.
Called strike 3. So 2 strikeouts in this inning and 3 in the game so far for Nagy, matching zeros through 2 with David Cone. Chrysler Building on the left, Empire State Building in the middle of your screen, among the buildings and Manhattan skyline looming out in the distance as we return to Yankee Stadium, moving to the top half of the 3rd.
Bob, so far David Cone has gotten first strikes on 2 of the 7 hitters, now 3 of 8. Last night David Wells was like 4 out of every 5 hitters. He was getting a first strike and getting ahead of the hitters.
Cone has walked 1, and as Joe has noted, although he seems to be having some trouble getting comfortable, he hasn't allowed a hit yet.
Right. He's throwing the ball okay. He's not throwing as well as David Cone did in his last outing, or the David Cone that I'm normally used to. He usually has a little more pop on his fastball, a little more movement.
He's ahead of Sandy Alomar Jr. 0-2.
That was a good fastball, and that one you could see there was movement on it. This is a good fastball. There's some movement on the pitch. The ball actually moves in toward Alomar right there. There's some movement. See, you could see the catcher hold his glove one place and move it towards Alomar.
This ball is hit in the air down the left field line. Spencer is coming over and takes it. Folks, the Sporting News has joined Team NBC For in-depth sports coverage online, you can go inside baseball's postseason at MSNBCSports.com and get an inside look at the 10 key moments that helped make the Yankees a formidable and record-breaking team. The Sporting News, now part of the team at MSNBCSports.com. Joey Cora, hitless to this point in the postseason, takes a strike. Brocious in on the grass at third.
Well, the players are disagreeing a lot with home plate umpire Ted Hendry today.
The 0-2. A ball and 2 strikes. Hits softly into right. O'Neill comes on and makes the catch. Banged his head, it appeared. Knobloch out to check on him.
The thing that makes this play is that he got such a great jump on the ball. As soon as the ball went in the air, he started in. Well, you can see the back of his head hits the ground awfully hard. And watch, he'll dive, he'll make the catch, he'll roll over his wrist a little bit, but watch the back of his head. It'll hit the ground awfully hard right here. As you see, he does make the catch. Now watch his head right here. Right there. That's why he seemed like he was grabbing his eyes, a little dizzy maybe, right there. Good jump and everything, and this is how you make the play on a shallow fly ball, being able to get a great jump and start in immediately. But sometimes you pay the price. And I'm sure David Cohn is saying, a little small price to pay for a nice play like that.
Obviously, a gamer like O'Neill is going to stay in. I would hope the aspirin are at the ready when he gets to the dugout. It'll bring up Lofton. Torrey's satisfied that his right fielder's okay. During the regular season, Lofton was 4 for 6 with a couple of home runs against Cone, and he rocked one to deep center field as the game's leadoff man, taken a step or so in front of the wall by Bernie Williams. Shortening up and taking a ball.
Scott Brocious has a bad ankle, so it wouldn't surprise me if we wouldn't see Lofton drop down a bunch somewhere along the way. I think he was going to do it there.
Called strike 2-1.
There you see what he did during the regular season. 3 home runs to go along with that .367 batting average. 0 for 4 yesterday.
3 balls and a strike. Well hit to right. O'Neill to the edge of the track to take it. Lofton has hit the ball hard twice with nothing to show for it. To the bottom of the 3rd, no score.
Jim Gray back at Yankee Stadium. That's Paul O'Neill. He took quite a fall out there in right field. Banged the back of his head. Came in with Gene Monahan. He's a little bit dizzy. Gene went out there. He asked him if he could read the scoreboard. He said yes, he could. Read off the score to him. Still feeling the effects. He's a little bit dizzy and his neck's a little bit sore, but he's going to try and continue. Bob?
Joe Girardi is the first hitter. And from third base, Travis Fryman throws across the diamond to Tomey to retire Joe.
But there was another sign of how good these Yankees are and how much they care about each other there. When O'Neill was sitting there, Jeter came by, Williams came by, and 2 other players came by to inquire about how he felt. I mean, they really genuinely care about each other.
O'Neill putting the shin guard on to prepare for his at-bat. He'd bat in this inning if the Yankees can put a man aboard. Ball 1 to Knobloch. A ball and a strike. Let's check the scouting report on the 31-year-old veteran Charles Nagy.
And so far in this ball game, Bob, the first hitter in each inning, he's been able to induce them into hitting a ground ball. The sinker is his most important pitch. He has to keep the ball down because if he can get ahead, they can use his splitter and his other pitches. But the fastball is his key pitch, and use it as a sinker and keeping the ball down. And there you see 1 fly out to 3 ground balls. That's the kind of ratio that he wants.
In the air to right, Ramirez backing up. Manny on the track to haul it in. Game 3 of this series, after an off day tomorrow, will be Friday night from Jacobs Field in Cleveland, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Bartolo Colon for Cleveland. Andy Pettit will go for the Yanks. Jeter doubled to center his first time up. One of 2 Yankee hits off Nagy. The Indians are hitless through 3 against Cone. Ball 1.
Bob, I've noticed a couple of fly balls. One seemed to be helped, one seemed to be knocked down. And I was talking to Chris Shamler. See this bat? It's on the top of the center field flag. The knob tells you the way that the wind is blowing. And when it's not moving very much at all, or it's just hanging there like that, that tells you that it's not having much effect on the ball. Because if you look at the flags, they're blowing in different directions out there, but that's the way you decipher which way the wind is actually blowing. The knob of the bat will tell you. A little bit towards right center.
Two-0 pitch, jammed him, rolled to the right side. Cora throws him out, and Nagy works a perfect third. Nobody's broken through yet in game 2. Vizquel, Justice, and Ramirez in the Cleveland 4th. They check at third base, and Omar did not go around, says Tim Welke. Ball 1. Next one from Cone, foul to the seats, a ball and a strike. Although no one has the upper hand in this game yet, Joe, it remains true that the Yankees have allowed only 1 meaningful run in the postseason. When Ramirez hit the home run last night in the 9th, a 2-run shot, the Indians were trailing 7-0, and the only thing at issue was Wells' bid for the shutout. 1-2.
There, Vizquel tries to drop down a bunt on Brocious, but he missed.
Just missed. 2-2.
Well, the Yankee pitchers have been just unbelievable. They just have not made a lot of mistakes. I thought the Indians had some pitches to hit in the first inning, but since that time, Cone has been able to stay out of the middle of the plate.
Has he found a groove?
I don't think so. I mean, remember now, he's used to getting 5 days rest.
3-2 pitch, got him. Second strikeout for Cone.
And this looks like a splitter, but let's start with the first pitch, breaking ball down. Good fastball moving away. Another one moving away, tried to bunt. There's a slider outside. Fastball away. And there's a splitter on the inside corner for strike 3. Everyone's upset with that call. Even the bench is very upset, but Omar Vizquel was letting him know, and you can see Kenny Lofton. Everyone's basically feeling like the umpire has a large strike zone.
Strike 1 to Justice, who walked in the first. In the air to right center field. O'Neill going back. O'Neill to the fence, leaps, can't get it. Home run for Justice, and the Yankees are behind for the first time in this postseason.
Now that first call strike to Vizquel becomes doubly important, because instead of 1 run, it could have been 2. It's a breaking ball from Cone to Justice. Take a look. It's a curveball, and Justice stays right on it. That pitch did not fool him, and he got enough of it. And remember, we said the ball is carrying towards right center field as O'Neill makes a valiant attempt. Got as high as he could, but he could not get there. David kind of shaking his head because it wasn't a bad pitch. It just wasn't as good as David wanted to make.
Now Ramirez fouled out his first time up. So Justice, who had a big series against the Red Sox, contributes here in game 2.
You can see he's wearing Darryl Strawberry's number on his hat. But he's not a Yankee, so his is not embroidered like the rest of the Yankees. Did a good job, though.
It almost seems like it isn't a baseball postseason in the 90s without David Justice. Either with the Braves or with the Indians, he's a perennial. 2-1. That's out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Manny. 1 out and a run home in the top half of the 4th. The first base hit allowed today by David Cone, a solo homer from David Justice. Here's the 2-2. Full count to Ramirez.
Because Ramirez has been swinging the bat so well, and he has a lot of power, I don't expect David Cone to just come right down the middle or try to throw a fastball by him.
Another dangerous hitter, Tommy, on deck. The payoff. Walked him.
And there's that Laredo slider that he throws to right-handers. You see, he's kind of disgusted with himself. He thought he should make a better pitch than that. It's not necessarily for him to throw a strike, but he wants at least to start in the strike zone and give Ramirez a chance to chase it out of the strike zone, but that never started in the strike zone.
Justice with Cora on one side of him, Witten on the other, and Kenny Lofton in the foreground. Tommy struck out in the second. 30 homers for the season. A season that saw him miss more than a month with a broken hand. Grounded foul.
One thing good pitchers are able to do is have control not only in the strike zone but out of the strike zone. We saw David Wells continually last night when he got ahead just a little bit off the plate. That's good control even though it's a ball. And I think David Cone was trying to throw a slider just out of the strike zone to Ramirez there on that 3-2 pitch. And he doesn't have that good a control today. But control off the plate is just as important as control in the strike zone.
The 0-1. Quickly ahead of Tommy, 0-2.
And Tommy is questioning that pitch again. That He called that pitch a strike in his first at bat. And it's a breaking ball that Tommy thinks starts over the plate and then breaks off the plate inside. And there is a lot of break on that ball.
No question, Ted Hendry has had the generous strike zone so far today.
But I think he's been fair in that he's calling it both sides. I mean, you know, calling it that pitch for Nagy as well as for Cone. You can tell because he's getting arguments from both sides.
A ball and 2 strikes.
But I must admit, I'm not one that agrees that, okay, if he's calling it for both sides, that makes it okay. You know, I'm one that believes a strike is a strike and a ball is a ball. And if you only call strike, strike, call them that way for both sides.
2-2. Well, you hear umpires saying now, and many people in baseball taking it as a given, I have my strike zone. My strike zone has always been this. The other guy's strike zone has always been that.
But I take exception to that because it's not their strike zone. There is a rule governing the strike zone. There gives you specific parameters that say this is a strike and that's not a strike. So it's not their strike zone. It's baseball strike zone. And the rules state what a strike zone is, and that's what they should stick to, not their own interpretation of the strike zone.
Can you imagine a basketball ref saying, according to me, goaltending is this?
Right.
The other guy thinks it's that, but I like to consider it this.
And that's a very good point to make. That
called strike 3. Well, Tommy should have learned the first time. Cone did. He went back to the same spot to get him looking again.
Well, he has questioned these pitches inside each time. This is a cut fastball inside. And Ted Hendry says it's strike 3. And again, Tommy thinks the ball's inside. And I mean, even if the overhead camera is not exactly right, there's still, that's a pretty big gap between where the plate was and where that ball passed. And there's Travis Fryman questioning the outside corner. But you can't let that distract you because, I mean, you're the one that's in a do-or-die situation. So if you're the Indians, you have to put that aside.
The 0-1 pitch, line to left. It falls in front of Spencer. On his way to second is Ramirez. He'll stop there. A 2-out single for Fryman, who's trying to get on track in the playoffs. He's now 3 for 19.
This pitch is up, and Fryman rips it to left field for a base hit. Fastball or maybe a sinker right there, and Fryman just kind of uses his hands and whips it into left field for a base hit.
Now here's Brian Giles, and he and David Cone can compare weird injuries. We mentioned that Giles missed time this year with spider bites. Cone missed a start when his mother's Jack Russell Terrier bit him on the index finger.
So not only do you surf the web, you watch the Animal Channel.
Discovery, yeah. You know, you don't come across quick enough with the milk bone. Take a nip out of your pitching hand. The 1-0 on the corner.
Well, the left-handed hitters should realize that Hendry is working off the inside part of the plate, and that's the pitch that he's calling the most.
Indians trying to build on a 1-0 lead.
And even though I don't believe in the fact that you have to adjust, or you should have to, you still have to be aware of what he's doing and which pitches he is calling a strike.
Here's the 2-1. He lays off 3 balls and a strike. Giles hit .269 for the regular year with 16 homers, playing almost exclusively against right-handed pitching. .3-1 pitch. And a full count. Look, that ball boy, the same kid who last night took one off the dome, shows that he's a gamer. He comes back trying to make another play.
I talked to him this afternoon, Bob, and he says, You were talking about me yesterday. I said, yeah, I told him that at least you didn't go down when the ball hits you. Look at this. Hey, that's a tough play to make, though.
Ball can take a weird hop off a tarp. The runners will go. The 3-2 pitch. The bases are loaded.
And you can see David Cone trying to come inside because that's where he's had his most success against the left-handed hitters. And here's David Cone. Watch inside again because that's the pitch that he has been able to get the hitters out with, the left-handed hitters anyway. This ball is way off the plate inside for ball 4.
Cone has now walked 3 and struck out 3. And he faces Alomar with the bases loaded. Sandy fly to left and his only trip so far. Ball 1. Well, I asked you a moment ago if you felt Cone had found a groove. A couple of pitches later, Justice took him deep. Now the bases are loaded as the Indians threaten for more. Out of play.
Well, you still have to hit him. One thing that he does, he knows how to pitch out of trouble. He knows that in this situation with 2 outs, he has to make only 1 good pitch to get out of this inning. He gave in to Sandy Alomar Jr. there. He gave him a fastball. He fouled it back. Now he says, well, I gave him his pitch. If I can make a good pitch here, I can get out of this inning.
The 1-1. He cuts and misses. The Indians are 1 big hit away from putting some serious pressure on the Yankees for the first time in this postseason. An extra base hit here. They get some breathing room and have a chance to win game 2 and get out of here with a split. And Alomar hangs in. And if that happens, then the Yankee season and the Cleveland season is down to a best 3 out of 5. And the whole portfolio from April to October doesn't matter. The 114 in the regular season, blowing away Texas in the divisional, doesn't matter. Ramirez is at 3rd. Fryman is at 2nd. And Giles is at 1st. 2 out. A run home. 1-0 Cleveland. And the 1-2 pitch. A bouncing ball. Martinez juggles it. Can he recover? Cone gets there in time. And the Indians strand 3. To the bottom of the 4th. 1-0 Tribe.
NBC's coverage of the American League Championship Series is brought to you by MasterCard, the official card of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime. By Frost Brewed Coors Light, who reminds you the 3 most important words are, "Hey, beer man." And by American Airlines, something special in the air.
Paul O'Neill, who may still be experiencing some ringing between his ears after the tumbling catch to rob Joey Cora a while back, and he banged his head against the Yankee Stadium turf. He flied to left his first time up. Nagy with a slim 1-0 lead. Ball 1. Shakes off the sign from Alomar. Now he has the one he wants and pours it through there for strike 1. Part of the order here for the Yanks, as Williams and Martinez will follow O'Neill. Two and 1. Drive down the right field line. A fair ball, possible extra bases. Ramirez comes up with it. His throw to second base is offline, and O'Neill has a double.
Good hustle by O'Neill because Ramirez definitely was going to have a shot at him, but he didn't break stride and went all the way into second base with a double. It's another breaking ball, and this time he turns on it. The other one he got jammed on. He turns on it, hits it in the corner. Now O'Neill, watch what, now when Ramirez picks up the ball, O'Neill is just rounding first base. He hustles all the way. You see, never slows down, and he's able to get into second base with a double. He put a lot of pressure on Ramirez to make an accurate throw right to the base.
Now Bernie Williams, who struck out his first time up. The Yankees trailing for the first time in the postseason, as we mentioned. But O'Neill immediately doubles. And Williams bounces one to Thome. Time to recover. Nagy records the putout, 3-1, as O'Neill moves on to third with one out.
And a good job by Bernie Williams to pull the ball to the right side and advance Paul O'Neill to third base. But this is what the Yankees do so well. They play fundamental baseball great. And that's a nice play by Thome. He was just going to smother the ball, which he did. Nagy gets over there. But the Yankees just do the fundamental things correctly. You see them giving him a congratulations. Good job. Well done there by Bernie O'Neill. A lot of players do not pull the ball in that situation, but he did the job.
Cleveland pulls its infield in. And here's Martinez. Ball one to Tino. He had a big division series against the Yankees in 1995 when he was still with Seattle. Since then, he's never been much of a postseason hitter. RBI chance here. 2-0. There's the evidence. Knocked in more runs in that 1-5 game set against the Yanks than in 7 series since. Ahead on the count, 2-0. Hitter's pitch. He couldn't do anything with it.
He definitely had a pitch to hit. The pitch was up in the strike zone, which gives you a better chance of hitting the ball in the air and making sure you get Paul O'Neill home from third. It's a hanging breaking ball. The rotation is there, but the ball doesn't break sharply, and Martinez just misses it, fouls it at the plate.
Willie Randolph, the coach at third, with O'Neill. Nagy trying to preserve a 1-0 lead in the fourth. And this ball is popped up. Shallow left. Coming in is Giles. O'Neill can't score on this. And that's the second out. And again, Tino Martinez, so productive in the regular season since he came over to succeed Don Mattingly as the Yankees first baseman. Again, he can't come through in the playoffs.
He gets a fastball. It looks like a pretty good pitch to hit. It looked like it was in the middle of the plate. It was moving away from him a little bit, but he just misses it. He didn't chase something out of the zone. He got a pitch to hit. He just did not handle it.
Very soft-spoken, seldom demonstrative. Martinez sits down. It's up to Raines. He struck out looking his first time.
And had a few words with Ted Hendry.
Yeah, it's cut both ways, though, as you mentioned.
Exactly. I mean, Tim didn't even leave the batter's box. That's what I thought was humorous.
A ball and a strike. In a 5-run Yankee first last night, Jarrett Wright uncorked one that got by Sandy Alomar with a runner on third. Alomar has to be alert to block anything here. 1-2.
Well, so far, the breaking ball that Nagy is throwing seems to be fooling them by the speed of it, not so much the break of it. But that's the beauty of a curveball. It can get you with the break or the speed. And I think it's the speed that's fooling them. This ball is not breaking nearly as much as it normally does. And see, Tim is there, but he's out in front of it a little bit. So it's the speed that is getting them, not the break.
Nagy's 1-2 pitch. Struck him out for the second time, this time swinging. The Yankees with a man at third and one out can't bring him home. Nagy still clings to that 1-0 lead. So you say to yourself, how many cities can a 192-foot blimp visit each year? Well, an average of about 40. That's the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. When it's not on the road or in the skies, it's headquartered in Pompano Beach, Florida.
Well, it feels like how many cities I've been in the last week or so.
Maybe
40.
more than that for you.
Yeah.
Huh?
But it's fun, you know what I mean? It's fun.
Still beats having a real job.
Thank you.
On to the 5th, and Joey Cora will start it. Robbed of a hit on a great catch in right field by Paul O'Neill in his only at-bat so far. One and one to the former Mariner, and again the strike zone generous, to put it mildly.
There's one way you can tell, and it's not, I mean, if all the hitters really are complaining, that really kind of, you know, tells you that they're not happy with the strike zone.
David Cone, and this is something of a statement about modern baseball, is with his 5th major league team and his 6th stop, as he was with the Blue Jays twice. A pop-up to the right side. Knobloch's going to take care of it. And that's the first out. You know, ordinarily, in years past, a guy of Cone's quality, establishing near Hall of Fame credentials, wouldn't be with 5 or 6 teams while still in the prime of his career. But that's modern baseball, where economics as much as player evaluations drive deals.
No doubt about it. I mean, the first thing they consider now is, if I want to trade for a guy, is how much money does he make and how long is his contract. That's the first thing you think about, and how does it fit into our budget and our scheme.
He's won 20 twice, including this year. Was the American League Cy Young Award winner in '94 when he went 16-5.
I saw him pitch a game when he was with the Mets against the Giants. He threw 161 pitches to win a 1-0 ball game.
He's the opposite of a Greg Maddux. Lofton skies one to center. Another chance for Bernie Williams. 2 gone in the Cleveland 5th. You know, folks, the Storks coming to NBC tomorrow night.
For 9 months, we've been anxiously awaiting this moment.
I'm having my first contraction. Oh, it's not bad.
Okay. Phoebe's triplets are coming on Friends, NBC Thursday.
Better boil some water. A definite must-see Friends, NBC tomorrow. Vizquel trying to drag a bunt and coming up empty. Talking about Cone twice being a 20-game winner. In that Cy Young season of '94, when he won 16, he might have won 20 had not the season been cut short in August by the strike. Bounce back to Cone. He knocks it down and throws him out. A 1-2-3 fifth. Halfway through game 2. Cleveland 1, New York 0. Bottom of the order, Spencer, Brocious, and Girardi in the Yankee 5th. Shane grounded a single to left his first time up.
When you have a young player that's hot and swinging the bat well, you try a lot of different things to him. In, out, up, and down.
Squibbed foul.
And you throw him a lot of breaking balls and changeups. The only pitch that I've seen really effective against Spencer has been the changeup. We saw that yesterday with OJ. He had the changeup working, and that really bothered Spencer. But in and out, up and down doesn't seem to bother him as much as the speed of the pitch.
And now it's Spencer, who as a humble rookie doesn't question much, but even he has to glance back at Ted Hendry as strike 2 is called.
Well, I said in and out, up and down doesn't bother him. That out bothers him.
Bouncing ball, foul. Spencer stands off the plate, so if the umpire is going to give the pitcher that much of the outside corner, Spencer would be very lucky to reach it with a paddle, let alone a bat.
Well, Nagy made a mistake right there, and Spencer did not hit it. That was a breaking ball. It was right in the middle of the plate. He had a good swing at it, but he pulled it foul.
Another 0-2 pitch. Line toward the gap in right center field, but Ramirez hasn't played well and takes it.
You know, a lot of people are not aware that there is a rule in the book governing the strike zone. This is not the umpire strike zone. It says the strike zone is the area over home plate, the upper limit, which is a horizontal line at the midpoint between the top of the shoulders and the top of the uniform pants. And the lower level is a line at the hollow beneath the kneecap. The strike zone shall be determined from the batter's stance as the batter is preparing to swing at a pitched ball. And that's the rule that's in the rule book.
Brocious grounds one toward the hole. There's Vizquel. Pops back up and throws him out.
All right, here's what's in the rule book. This is a picture that is in the rule book that tells you where the strike zone is. Right below the knees and right at the top of the shoulders. So that is the strike zone. Each umpire doesn't have to determine his own strike zone or a unique strike zone. This is what is in the rule book, a picture that's in the rule book. So there are rules that tells you what the strike zone is.
Joe Girardi pops one wide of first. Tomey doesn't have a play.
And that's why I've said that, you know, I have a problem when a guy says my strike zone has always been like this. Well, it's really not your strike zone. I mean, the strike zone should be governed by the rules which are put there and not by, you know, each individual. I mean, it's like each hitter can't have his own strike zone. It works both ways.
A little pop. Cora. 3 quick outs in the New York fifth. Still 1-0 Cleveland. Joe, we mentioned that a Bronx judge ruled today that there can be a referendum on whether or not to build a new stadium on Manhattan's west side for the Yankees. A short while ago, Bronx Borough President Fernando Ferrer made a proposal to renovate Yankee Stadium, put in some 100 extra luxury boxes, improve the traffic flow and parking, beautify the neighborhood. There's George Steinbrenner, who appears to have a lot of leverage. His club drew just under $3 million this year. Governor Pataki has said the Yankees belong in the Bronx. The lease is up in 2003. Mayor Giuliani is known to favor a ballpark on Manhattan's west side. A little roller off Justice's bat. Brocious with a tough play. Throws on the run and pulls Martinez off the bag. Justice is on to start the 6th.
Well, Justice hits this ball off the end of the bat. See how deep Brocious is playing. He rounds the ball properly. But see, he's running away. He didn't really turn his shoulders, and the ball went high in the air. But he didn't have time to think about all this, I guess. But this is a tough play. You try to round it so that you can get your body towards first base. He doesn't get a chance to do that, and a lot of it may have to do with his fact that he has a bad ankle. And his throw is high, and it pulls Martinez off the bag. That should be scored as a base hit.
And it is. So Justice, whose homer represents the game's only run, is aboard to start the 6th. Cohen works to Ramirez and starts him with a ball. Pitch rolled toward the middle. To his left is Jeter. Shovels it to Knobloch. On to first. And a smartly turned 6-4-3.
Smooth. Very smooth. I mean, those guys have worked well together. You know, a lot of people knew that individually they were good, but how well would they blend together? Well, this was very smooth. Ramirez grounds it up the middle. Now watch, the feed is what I call smooth. This is from Jeter. He doesn't raise up to do it. Flips it from where he catches it. Knobloch has plenty of time to do anything he wants with it. Now watch where he throws the ball from. He doesn't raise up. He doesn't stand up and throw it to him. He gave it to him from where he caught it, which allows Knobloch to make the double play any way he wanted to.
Thome called out on strikes twice, cuts and misses. Out of play, 0-2. Thome has just 2 hits in 20 postseason at-bats this year, but they were both for the distance, home runs against the Red Sox.
Well, it's interesting that David Cone is just throwing inside because he's had that success against Thome, and I don't think Thome wants to take another pitch inside. He's been called out twice on that pitch inside. So if you're David Cone, what do you do? Well, it looks like they're going away. Well, that was a ways pitch, 1-2. The trouble with throwing pitches inside to a left-handed hitter like Thome, if you miss by 6 inches and get it over the inside corner, he can make you pay for it.
1-2 pitch. Called strike 3, and Thome has the hat trick, the kind he didn't want. Yanks come up in the 6th, still trailing by 1. Top of the order in the bottom of the 6th. Nagy hooked up in a good one with David Cone. Cleveland with the 1-0 edge. Knobloch takes a strike. Just to finish the thought about all the political maneuvering surrounding the Yankees' future, the proposed renovation of Yankee Stadium by Bronx Borough President Fernando Ferrer supposedly would cost between $500 and $600 million, considerably less than the projected cost of a new ballpark on Manhattan's west side. Mayor Giuliani quickly dismissed that idea as poorly thought out. There's the mayor, who is an unapologetic Yankee fan. He doesn't try to pose as one who splits his loyalties between the Yankees and the Mets. He roots for the Bronx Bombers. Nagy ahead of Knobloch, 0-2. And a high fly ball to center. Lofton has to go back and makes the catch.
We're talking about Jim Thome, and he's been called out 3 times on 2 of them on pitches inside. Now here's the first inning. He's very upset about that one. In the 4th inning, he's upset again. But I give him credit. He's called out here in the 6th inning. And that's a good pitch. He doesn't argue. See, I mean, he just walks away. And I like that. I mean, you can't blame everything on the umpire. I mean, sometimes you have to accept, blame. And Jim Thome is a stand-up guy. So I really think he showed a little class there, even though he didn't agree with the first 2.
Jeter is doubled and grounded out. Ball 1 to him.
And make no mistake about it, the fact that we showed the strike zone today wasn't pointed at Ted Hendry. We've had this for a couple of days, and this is the first time we've been able to use it.
Nagy makes the play and takes care of Jeter with the throw to Thome. Game 1 of the NLCS is tonight at Turner Field. It's on Fox. Ashby for San Diego, Smoltz for the Braves. Day off for us tomorrow. We're at the Jake in Cleveland for Game 3, 8 Eastern Time, Friday. Cologne scheduled against Pettit.
And Bob, just as I was saying that the umpires can't interpret the strike zone any way they want, the hitters can't either. There's a definitive strike zone that both the hitters have to adhere to and the umpires. So if otherwise we get 600 different strike zones from the players and 100 from the umpires.
O'Neill always consistent and almost always clutch. Doubled his last time up. Well, you used to hear people say that a guy like Lee Wire, the late Lee Wire, who was a good umpire, had a more generous strike zone because he himself was a big man at 6'6". Some guys had a different strike zone because of the way they crouched using the inside or outside protector. That's in the past. The 1-1 pitch.
What's interesting, if we can get another shot at that last pitch. What's interesting there is that Ted Henry works off the inside corner. Now watch where Alomar goes. Now watch him move. Ted Henry doesn't move with him because he stays on the inside corner. That's the way that the umpires, that's the way that they work. He works off the inside corner, and even if the catcher moves, he doesn't move with him.
O'Neill punches one just foul over third base and almost an extra base hit.
Well, Paul O'Neill will hit the ball any place, and this is a good 2-strike pitch. And look, the ball actually hit farther foul and then tried to come back. It actually moved back, but it was foul, but it hit foul by a lot and then bounced back toward the bag.
And another 1-2 pitch. Up and in.
Let's take a look at O'Neill's spray chart. And remember, look at this. I mean, that's pretty good.
Wow.
Pretty good distribution right there.
He's consistent in every respect.
He is.
Full count to him now. With 2 out and nobody on in the 6th. The Yankees trail it 1-0.
And I think if you're Charles Nagy, you have to be careful of this part of the batting order and this late in the ballgame. Look, you want to pitch to O'Neill, but you do not want to walk him and have the next guy, Bernie Williams, hit a 2-run homer. So you have a 1-run lead. You have to take advantage of it. Make him swing the bat.
Which he does, rolling it slowly to the right side. Tomey comes up with it. And on the toss to Nagy, the Yankees go down in order again. 6 complete. 1-0 Cleveland. On to the 7th at Yankee Stadium. Packed house of 57,000. The Yankees drew $2.95 million for the regular season. George Steinbrenner had said, if we draw $3 million with this team, I might reconsider. Well, technically they didn't draw 3. They came about as close as you can. Strike 1 to Travis Fryman, who will be followed by Giles and Alomar. Brocious knocks it down, has time and gets Fryman. And we get a report from Keith Olbermann.
Well, the experiment, Bob, with giving the coaches microphones has various results. Mark Wiley, the Indians pitching coach, is wearing one, and some of the players know it.
So how's your family been, huh? How's your wife and kids? How are they really?
Jones not playing. Doug Jones not playing, Bob, but fully aware of what's going on around him. Back up to you.
Obviously looking for something to amuse himself with. Breaking ball fouled off by Brian Giles. Both Doug Jones and Keith Olbermann in perpetual search of amusement. Giles fouled out and then walked. Skies one to right, got under it. O'Neill toward the line, and it makes the seats.
That was a breaking ball that stayed up, and Giles had an opportunity to turn on it. And with the short porch in right field, anytime a left-hander can do that, you know, the ball may go out of the ballpark. So there's a little breaking ball that doesn't do much. It's supposed to be a slider, but it looks more like a backup slider, and it just kind of stays there. And Giles just misses it. Good pitch.
Sit down.
That's that backdoor breaking ball. Starts off the plate outside and then just breaks just enough to get the outside corner. Beautiful pitch there by David Cone. Watch the spin on it. You'll see that it's a slider. See this slider spin? You can tell a slider when you see that little hole in it. And it starts off the plate and just catches the outside corner. Beautiful pitch.
Sandy Alomar takes strike 1. 5 strikeouts now for Cone, all of them on called third strikes. As Keith Olbermann told us on the pregame show, Sandy was running through the Indian clubhouse before the game, wearing the mask worn by the killer in those Scream movies. I was momentarily petrified.
Well, I think maybe he's trying to make sure his teammates have the killer instinct, go along with his.
Perhaps. The diving Jeter has no play.
He was going to actually try to throw that ball all the way across the diamond from his knees. I mean, that was going to be another show of strength. That's a long way to throw a ball off your knees. Now watch how deep he is. He dives, and he doesn't have an opportunity, he thinks, to get up to make the throw. Now he skids, and look at this. I mean, he's going to try to throw that ball. It's going to be nothing but his arm. I would have loved to have seen him try it, because I saw what he made. The play he made last night was just unbelievable. He can't find the handle, and Alomar Jr. has a base hit.
Well, given the way Sandy is running with the bad knee, he might have had a crack at it.
I wish I could have seen him try it anyway. I'm sure Sandy's glad that he couldn't find the handle.
So Sandy's aboard with 2 out of the 7th. Strike 1 to Cora, who's 0 for 2. A ball and a strike. The Indians got their run in the 4th on a solo home run from David Justice. The Yankees had their best chance in the bottom half of that inning when O'Neill led off with a double, moved up on a Williams ground out, and was at third with 1 out. But Tino Martinez couldn't bring him home, and neither could Tim Raines with 2 out. This is going to end the inning. Jeter tucks it away, retiring Cora. And as we move to the bottom of the 7th, the Yankees still trail it 1-0.
NBC's coverage of the American League Championship Series is brought to you by Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. By the document company Xerox, keep the conversation going, share the knowledge. And by Lipton Brisk Iced Tea, now that's brisk.
How many pitches? Goodyear celebrating its 100-year anniversary, 72nd consecutive year for its blimp operation. We thank them for the overhead shots. The fans settle back in after the 7th inning stretch. Williams to start it, followed by Martinez and Raines. Nagy's pitch bounced foul.
And if you're the Cleveland Indians, you're wondering how long can Nagy keep this up. He had 2 complete games this year. Didn't have any shutouts, but 2 complete games. So he is capable of pitching 9 innings.
He's thrown 6 career shutouts in 234 starts. 2 complete games, as Joe said, in 34 starts, counting the playoffs this year. A ball and a strike. He pitched 8 strong innings in his division series start against the Red Sox.
And I don't care how good you're throwing on any particular day, it is very difficult to win a game 1-0.
Williams whacks one into right center field. Over is Lofton, trying to hold him to a single, and he does.
Good job by Kenny Lofton there to hold him to a single, because Bernie Williams left home plate with the idea that he was going to turn this into a double. It's a breaking ball that kind of hangs up out over the plate, and Bernie rips it in the right center field. You can see the break that it hangs up there, and I mean, he whacks it in the right center field. And he was going for a double. Watch how he comes out of the batter's box. And there's Lofton. He gets over and he gets in front of it, which is the key, so he can make a strong and accurate throw. Here's Bernie Williams. He was going for second right there, and then he stumbles.
Ball 1 to Martinez, who has yet another chance to come through here in the playoffs. After O'Neill's double to start the 4th, Nagy had retired 9 consecutive Yankees until Williams' base hit. His 1-0 pitch misses high.
And the reason I say it's very difficult to win 1-0, when it's 2-0, you have a little margin for error. But when you're only ahead 1-0, every single pitch has a purpose and has a meaning. And you really just stress out. It's just hard to win 1-0. You see a lot of 2-0, 3-0. Very rarely do you see a 1-0 ball game.
3-0 to Martinez, who led the Yankees with 28 home runs this year. Reed and Poole each worked last night in Game 1.
And there are easy shutouts and tough shutouts. This is a tough shutout because the importance of the game and your job out there. Everything is riding on it.
He walks him. 2 on, nobody out.
Well, after the base hit, you see he's trying to throw a sinker away, trying to get Tino to hit a ground ball. All these are sinkers, trying to get them away from him so he'll hit a ground. If he tries to pull it, he'll hit a ground ball to second base. If he tries to go the other way, he'll hit a ground ball to shortstop and turn it into a double play. That was the purpose of those 4 pitches. It doesn't mean that he's lost his control. It just meant that he was trying to make a pitch. And the question now is, if you're Joe Torre, what do? Do you make Tim Raines bunt? Because Joe Torre also knows the importance of this game, and that's he and Don Zimmer conversing there. John Zimmer's his bench coach, which means he has some input on strategy. He will suggest things to Joe, but it's always Joe's decision of what they decide to do. And I think Mark Hargrove is like me. He does not think that Nagy has lost anything. He just felt that those were purpose pitches, and he didn't make the pitch he wanted.
And that was Nagy's first walk. Raines does not have a sacrifice this season,
but he can bunt.
Throwing behind the runner, and Williams easily back.
Well, I think that was more, the purpose of that wasn't to pick Williams off. I think the purpose of that was to see if Timmy Raines would turn and square or make a move. He did not make any move, because if you're going to bunt, on the first move the pitcher makes, you have to start to square around. He made a move to second base. Raines did not square around.
He's punished Nagy through the years, as that graphic showed you. Squares to bunt. Ball 1.
Great job there by Raines not to let them know or to show bunt on that first pitch. But I know he can bunt. See, he doesn't square around too early. Takes the pitch outside.
He steps out. Looks back down at Willie Randolph, flashing the signs at third.
And don't be surprised if Joe Torre doesn't take the bunt sign off sometime during this at bat.
The 1-0 pitch. Bunts foul.
Not a good attempt there by Timmy. He let the ball get too close to him. You have to put the barrel of the bat out in front of you and catch the ball on the bat. And you see Willie Randolph calling timeout to talk to Timmy. Now watch how late he puts the bat to the ball. See, that's too late. You have to have the barrel of the bat out in front. Watch where he bunts this ball. Behind the plate. You can't do that. It has to be out in front. Willie Randolph came down and talked to Timmy Raines. And that's what I said. Don't be surprised if Joe Torre doesn't take the bunt off, because Raines has hit Nagy well.
On the first 2 pitches, Friedman, charging from third, has been almost right on top of Raines. Looking to bunt again and taking strike 2.
Well, that's one way to change a bunter's mind. But you can see Joe Torre kind of yelling at the home plate umpire. Here's a curveball, and Joe Torre said it was low. We'll see. Tim Raines takes the pitch. Didn't look that bad to me, but Tim Raines said it was low as well. The bench yelled that the pitch is low, and there you see. Now he will have to swing away. And Raines is not running well because he's got a bad knee, so a ground ball now could turn into a double play, and I think that's what Joe Torre was thinking about, to stay out of the double play, because Raines is not running like the Tim Raines of old. He's had some problems with his right knee.
Hargrove a play or two from going back to Cleveland with the split he wanted, or possibly being in a nearly insurmountable situation against a great Yankee team.
Beautiful.
Raines strikes out for the third time.
Foul tip. And Raines thought the ball hit the ground, but they're saying it didn't. That Sandy Alomar Jr. caught it. The breaking ball, and Raines did foul it. But Alomar Jr. makes the catch.
Yep.
And it is a clear catch. This is a breaking ball down and in. Raines goes for it, and it's strike 3. Good pitching there by Charles Nagy.
Well, now look who steps up. This week's Sports Illustrated cover boy, Shane Spencer. There he is. If he hits one now, they might as well put the monument out there behind the fence right away. Ball 1.
This is a situation, if you're Nagy, you say, well, if I can get him to hit the ball on the ground, I can double him up, because Spencer doesn't run that well. But Spencer's thinking about driving a ball. So we'll see whose matchup works best. If Nagy can get the sinker down, or if he gets it up, then Spencer will be able to drive it.
Shane is singled and lined to right. 1-1.
For a player who hasn't spent a lot of time in the big leagues, I haven't seen him swing at that pitch very often right there. He may have been a little anxious there. Normally he takes that pitch. I've seen him do it a lot against Texas. He would take that breaking ball just off the plate, and then they'd have to come over the plate. Instead of 2-0 now, see, it's 1-1. That was a big pitch.
2 on, 1 out, and the 1-1 pitch. Got in on him, and he rolls it foul.
Well, that tells me right there that Charles Nagy still has confidence in his zone, and that he's able to throw the ball exactly where he wants. This pitch, if you make a mistake 6 inches, you miss with this 6 inches and get the plate, he's going to hit it out of the ballpark. But you see, he gets it just off the plate, and that's what I was talking about when you have to have good control in and out of the strike zone. Just off the plate inside, not a lot that Spencer could do except foul it off of his knee. That ball was inside so far, he couldn't do anything with it.
That's where you sometimes read in the scouting report that a guy can be wild in the strike zone.
Right.
It's not that he's walking guys, it's that he's missing spots and getting hurt.
And that's what happens to a lot of pitchers. See if he goes back away with that little breaking ball that he got him to chase.
Hits softly down the right field line and foul.
Well, he went back that way with it, and Spencer fouled it. Good pitch by Nagy. And Spencer showed a little bit something there of making contact. This is the pitch he swung and missed on, down and away. Watch this. He goes out there, and he's able to just get a foul piece of it and keep it in play. I mean, just to stay alive, I should say. And look at that foul ball. I mean, that was a tough pitch. Yeah, bench thought that once it was cued, they knew it was going to be a base hit if it was fair.
Another 1-2 pitch from Nagy to Spencer. Inside, Williams, who singled to open the inning, is at second. Martinez, who followed with a walk, is at first. Raines struck out, and now it's Spencer.
Well, that last pitch had a purpose. The purpose was he went out and fouled that last pitch. The purpose of that pitch is to let him know that he will come inside, as he did 2 pitches ago, and it opens up the outside corner for him.
Here it comes on 2-2.
There it is again. So breaking ball away, but Spencer showing a lot of patience here after swinging at that first bad breaking ball. The question now, if you're Nagy, you say, well, the runners may be breaking, so I may not get the double play. What do I need? Do I want to go for the strikeout, or do I want to throw the sinker and try to get the ground ball?
On the 3-2 pitch, they're not going, and here's a drive to deep center field. Lofton, the ballpark will hold it. At the edge of the track, he makes the catch. Williams will advance. Martinez back to first. He gave it a long ride, but not long enough.
Well, Nagy was lucky enough to get a little movement on this pitch. The ball moves in on his hands just enough. He doesn't get, see, it's a sinker that's moving towards him. It gets in right there just enough. I mean, another inch and that ball's hit out of the ballpark. He gets in just enough right there. And he thought he hit it well, but it was just enough up the handle that it would stay in the ballpark. So the movement on that pitch is what got him out. That ball moved into him right at the last second.
And by that slim margin, the Indians still lead.
Well, you see, Spencer knows he just barely missed it.
Brocious may not have missed this. Down the left field line, fair ball. The tying run scores. Martinez will be stopped at third on a double by Brocious. So Nagy battled Spencer to a full count, but Brocious jumped on the first pitch.
First pitch fastball, and it's up in the zone. See, you see him pointing down. I needed to get that pitch down. Look at the target is down. Look where the pitch is, up and over the middle of the plate. That's why it is so tough to win 1-0. You're going to make some mistakes. I mean, it's impossible not to make mistakes in a ball game when you throw 120 pitches or whatever. Nice carom play there by Giles. Gets it back into Vizquel.
Randolph holds Martinez. Williams scores the tying run. Nagy is done as Hargrove goes to the bullpen with Girardi, the next scheduled hitter.
You're not going to get a better pitching performance from anyone than Nagy. He battled. But here's the problem. When you only have a 1-0 lead, every pitch is important. He really made a lot of great pitches to Spencer to get him out, and then all of a sudden he relaxed for just one moment. He made a high fastball pitch to Brocious. He singled to left field. He doubled to left field. Now we're tied. It is just too difficult to win a game 1-0. But you have to give the Yankee starters credit because they do not give you any margin for error. They keep the game, keep the pressure on you.
You saw Steve Reed's combined numbers between San Francisco and Cleveland. He was actually great with the Giants and shaky with the Indians. He faces Girardi, who fouls the first one back. Now, are you surprised that in this situation, they bring in a side-arming right-hander, you have Posada on the bench. Now, granted, you don't want to use your second catcher, but still, you've got a left-handed bat, a guy like Chili Davis available, veteran switch hitter, in this situation.
Well, if you bring up a left-hander now, Mike Hargrove has to walk him. So you're still going to have a right-hander up there. It would be Knobloch, of course, in this case. But so I can understand Joe's point. You have to also remember, if you don't score here, this could be a long ball game, and you need all your weapons. You need all your players. You're going to need. I mean, this game could last a long time. So you do not want to waste guys in this situation. If you're still down by one, there's no doubt in my mind he would pinch hit right here.
The 0-2 pitch. A little roller. Reed off the mound. Over to Tomey. The Yankees leave 2. Nagy's going to get out of here with a no decision. He certainly pitched too well to lose. To the 8th. Knotted at 1.
Called strikes have been the theme of this ball game. Charles Nagy got his in this ball game, and David Cone has gotten his. So a lot of players being called out on strikes. With 2 strikes, I think anything close, you have to swing at it, and that hasn't been the case tonight.
Interesting point you made toward the end of the inning, and then Girardi grounded out. We didn't have time to continue talking about it. If Joe Torre had gone to his bench, he could have gone to Posada, who is a switch hitter, and could have used him as a pinch hitter there, and then he would have stayed in the game to catch. But as you said, with first base open, it's likely that Posada or Davis or whomever would have been walked, and then you could go deep into a game that could go extra innings without an extra catcher and with your bench down a couple of players.
Exactly. You have to look at this in a tie ball game, or tight as this has been. You have to look at this and say, we don't know how many innings we're going to play. Until I get a chance to absolutely win this game, I have to, stay under control. And secondly, you have to look at the fact that if they bring a left-handed hitter up there, you're automatically going to bring Knobloch up.
Lofton starts it in the 8th against Cone, who has allowed the Indians 4 hits, one of which was David Justice's 4th inning solo home run. The Yankees had 5 off Nagy before they finally got him out of there. But did he ever battle?
Great performance, especially under the circumstances. Kenny Lofton has just missed a couple of pitches here. He's had some really good swings at David Cone. And he's been pretty patient. He stayed off of pitches out of the strike zone until he got ahead in the count, and Cone has had to come with the fastball. And he's hit a lot of fly balls, but he just missed them.
2 of the 3 fly balls were very well hit his first 2 times up.
Well, now he's going to get another good pitch to hit if he's patient, because David Cone cannot afford to walk Kenny Lofton and maybe start a track meet on these bases in a tie ball game.
3-1 pitch taken for a strike.
Pretty good pitch there by Cone. He kept the ball down. Now he doesn't have to come with another fastball. He can come with anything he wants.
Lofton rolls it to Knobloch, who throws him out. So up on the count, 3-1. Lofton couldn't get on.
Sometimes
NBC Sunday.
getting away with murder is worse than getting caught. Dostoevsky's timeless classic comes to NBC, Crime and Punishment, Sunday.
Crime and Punishment on NBC Sunday. My crime was talking over the promo. I don't know what my punishment will be. Here's Vizquel.
Looks like your kind of movie, though.
I love the classics, Joe.
Yeah.
The 0-1 pitch to Omar. Slice down the left field line with Spencer in pursuit. It's a fair ball right on the chalk. Vizquel on his way to second and thinking about 3 as the ball rolled away from Spencer. And by a whisker, he's at third with 1 out. Literally right on the chalk. Tough. Spencer much the worse for wear.
Tough play. I mean, the ball is slicing away from you, and you run out of room down there. Look how narrow it is. Look, the stands come in very quickly down the left field line, and you're watching right there on the inside part of the chalk. And as he hits the wall, the ball bounces away. This is what causes the ball to bounce away. It hits the chalk. Now, see, it hits the wall. Now, the carom's out toward left center field. Vizquel fastball in, and he flips it down the left field line. And he's going for third all the way. Once he saw the ball get away, he decided he was going to third base, and he goes in standing with a triple. And they have David Justice coming up, who has been one of their hottest hitters.
Stottlemyre to the mound, and let's go back to the 4th inning when Cone faced Justice.
There's a breaking ball that Justice goes out and gets. Like I said at the time, it wasn't that bad a pitch. He just didn't get it exactly where he wanted to, meaning Cone. But it wasn't a bad pitch. David Justice, you have to give him credit for going out and getting that pitch. Sometimes a pitcher has to tip his hat to the hitter. I mean, you make a good pitch, the hitter has to tip his hat to the pitcher. But if you are a pitcher and you make a good pitch and he hits it out of the ballpark, you have to tip your hat to him.
Graham Lloyd's specialty, obviously, is to put that slider on the outside corner against left-handed hitters. So they could have called upon him here, but they don't. They bring the infield in, and Cone goes after Justice. Makes him skip rope.
If you're Cone, you're trying to get the ground ball here. I think you'll see more sinkers away than you will see sliders in like that pitch. I don't think you can walk him here, because the more people you put on base, the more chance you have of falling way behind. And you are the home team, so if you only fall 1 run behind, you still have chances to come back. If you're on the road, you may think about that, but you're at home. I think everything is in your favor, so you just try to get out of this inning with the least amount of damage as possible.
Vizquel jockeying down the line at third. Here's the 2-0 pitch.
Well, maybe they're going to walk him anyway, since he's not going to chase anything. But you have to remember, David Cone is a very smart pitcher. I mean, he knows the situation. He knows that Ramirez is up next. 3-0 breaking ball. He knows that Ramirez is up next, and if he does walk Justice, or he can't get Justice to chase something, he has a chance of getting a ground ball for a double play.
Justice has walked, homered, beat out an infield hit. The 3-1 pitch. A little tap in front of the plate. Girardi pounces on it. His throw to first is in time as Vizquel holds third. about that?
Well, when I said he was a smart pitcher, maybe that was an understatement. Girardi wanted him to go with a sinker. He said no, he wanted to go with the changeup. He had not thrown Justice a changeup this entire ball game. He'd thrown him sliders and curveballs and fastball. That's a changeup. And Justice pulls off of it just enough that he hits it off the end of the bat. Watch his front shoulder. Right there, he pulls out just enough. It looked like a fastball to him, and he was going to drill it, but it was a changeup, and he was just out in front. Great pitch there by Cone.
Ramirez is the hitter. Righty against righty. The guy on deck, Tomey, has struck out all 3 times against Cone.
And Ramirez is a lot smarter hitter than people give him credit for. And he definitely handles mistakes very well. Anything out over the plate.
Just high.
They're the key offensive players for Cleveland: Lofton, Justice, and Ramirez. And Lofton has been the one that has struggled the most. Justice, of course, the only run of the game for Cleveland tonight on a home run.
A little squibber that is foul.
And David Cone has not thrown a lot of changeups in this ball game. Now he is going to the changeup, and I think that's a very smart play because it looks like a fastball, and all of these hitters are a little anxious now. If you're Cleveland, you're anxious to do something. You want to drive in this run. You want to do something. So the changeup works perfectly for a guy that's aggressive. When hitters are aggressive, the changeup is a great pitch.
Ramirez 0 for 2 with a walk thrown in. Knocked home 145 during the regular season. One here would put the Indians in front in the 8th. The 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, look at Girardi turning around talking to Ted Henry, and I think he's saying, well, that's been a strike most of the day. What you probably won't see here is Girardi turn around and talk to Henry. Well, right there he is. He's turning and talking to him right there.
2-1 pitch. Hop down the left field line. Spencer into the corner he goes. And a foul ball.
And there was a big push at third base then by Omar Vizquel. In fact, he almost caused David Cone to stop. David Cone was in his windup. Now Girardi's going to talk to him because he almost balked. Now watch. See, he said, I didn't see him. Now watch him wind up. Now watch what Vizquel does. He makes a real break, and then he stops. And Cone actually hesitated in his windup. Not a balk. He started his windup, and he just hesitated before he delivered the ball.
Trying to do the Jackie Robinson thing.
Yeah, that was... now watch Cone. He will kind of hesitate once... Right there, see, he sees him, and then he slows down and just pushes the ball. And Ramirez almost hit it out of the ballpark.
Vizquel at third with 2 out. And the 2-2 pitch. Sidearm, check swing, Cone's out of it.
Great job by David Cone.
A 1-out triple by Vizquel goes to waste as he retires Justice and Ramirez to weather the storm.
Here's David Cone's reaction as he got the 3rd out and got out of that jam. Yeah, I got him. And when he got to the bench, they were all talking and really laughing about it because he just shot-putted that ball up there when Vizquel broke for the plate. He said, I didn't see it, so I just couldn't stop and pushed it. He cut off his motion, but he just pushed the ball to the plate. He didn't have anything on it. He didn't take the full length of his windup, and they're all laughing. But you know what's funny here is what I like is that all of them are involved. Everybody's involved in the game. They're all talking about baseball right there.
Knobloch starts it in the Yankee 8th. Meanwhile, I don't know if they need a trainer or a tailor. Spencer getting patched up after diving for Vizquel's triple. 1-1 as Reed gets the strike across against Knobloch, and we go to Jim Gray.
Thanks, Bob. Gene Monahan is attending to Shane Spencer's right knee. It's bleeding, and they can't seem to quite get the bleeding stopped. He's tried to patch it up 2 or 3 times, and he will keep going until he is able to stop it, but Spencer will continue in the game. Bob?
The 1-1 pitch hit to Tomey. Uses his chest very effectively, as he is sometimes wont to do, and records the unassisted putout.
Actually, that's a nice play by Tomey, and you said he's done that the entire game. Just let it bounce off you. If you're a first baseman or a third baseman, you can block the ball and throw them out, and sometimes it's second. Shortstop's the place you have to catch the ball cleanly. Nice play there by Tomey. 1 down.
If this comes down now to a battle of the bullpens, the Yankees feel they have the advantage. And of course they have the extra at bat. They're not done yet in the 8th. Tied at 1. Hits are even, 5 apiece.
This is kind of a classic fall classic ball game. You know what I mean? 1-0 pitching ball game. There you see Rivera warming up in the bullpen. There have been a lot of great things happen in this ball game. A lot of people say a 1-0 game, not a lot of action. Now it's 1-1, but there has been a lot of action, a lot of things going on in this ball game for you baseball purists.
The 0-1 to Jeter. How do you look at me when you say that? Purists, traditionalists.
I told you the problem last week, that I'm starting to think too much like you. I don't know. Starting to worry, you know what I mean?
Cool and chewy, just in case. You saw Mariano Rivera in the Yankee pen. They give him the ball for the 9th if they score here in the last of the 8th. 1-2. Some people think a purist is somebody who wants all the games to be played in the daytime and everybody to come to the game on a streetcar, and everybody gets in for a quarter on Ladies' Day. Fouled off. Other people might think a purist is just someone who appreciates the game's finer aspects.
So you want to know which one of those I was referring to?
I'm just laying out the parameters of the debate.
So I don't have to answer. I could just, I can choose later, right?
It's interesting to me.
Actually, I meant it as the second one.
Baseball is the sport most reliant upon tradition. It has the richest history, and yet people are derided as traditionalists when they appreciate what the game is about.
No, I said purist, not traditionalist.
Oh, well.
Okay. But no, I was using it in a positive sense.
The 1-2 pitch misses. 2-2.
Actually, there's Joe Torre. I mean, you can tell that there is some concern on Joe Torre's face. I was talking to Hargrove. He says, you know, he gets a little more excited than Joe, but Joe just kind of sits there and lets things happen and controls the game.
Full count.
That was a tough pitch to take, and there you see Mike Hargrove yelling. You know, the strike zone, he's saying, it's shrunk a little bit.
Is Hendry calling him tighter as the game moves into its closing stages?
I am actually surprised that a lot of hitters take those close pitches.
He took that one and he draws a 1-out walk, which brings up O'Neill. He had Jeter 0-2 and lost him.
Well, truthfully, he gets ahead of Jeter, fast breaking ball away, fastball in. Then he goes away, and he cannot put him away. And you can see that Reed is thinking some of those pitches are close pitches. Well, first and foremost, in an umpire's mind, there's no such thing as a close pitch. It's either a ball or it's a strike. You know, there's really not any such thing as a close pitch.
Left-handed hitter O'Neill coming up. Left-hander coming out of the bullpen, Jim Poole. Back to the Bronx right after this. Reed gives way to Poole, who has appeared in 12 games this year with the Indians. No record in this tour of duty with Cleveland. This is his combined record. He started the year with the Giants. This tells you how scarce left-handed pitching is. The Giants released Jim Poole. The Indians then re-signed him. He had been with them a few years ago. And not only did they add him to the roster, they give him the ball with the game on the line in the LCS.
Well, you have to bring, he wants to bring a left-hander in to match up with Paul O'Neill, because that way, at least if you can get a sinker down, you might get a ground ball for the double play. And you also help to hold Jeter at first base. You keep him from being a big, a steal threat in this situation.
And Hargrove has the computer printouts that tell him that O'Neill has not hit Poole all that well. O'Neill also grounded into 22 double plays this year. He hits it on the ground. They could get 2. He won't hit that on the ground, way high.
And I think they're using Poole instead of Ossenmacher because they're going to have to take Poole out if he gets on base, because I don't think they want Bernie Williams hitting from the right side, but we'll see.
Williams, a switch hitter, who is a more devastating hitter righty.
Yeah.
The 1-0. Off the corner, 2-0.
This is where a pitcher gets in trouble. You come in, and coming out of the bullpen, you have to concentrate and make sure that first pitch is a strike in this situation, because the game is on the line. Now he's falling behind 2-0. What do? Do you try to make a pitch and possibly go 3-0, or do you give in and have Paul O'Neill get a 2-0 fastball and be able to drive it someplace?
O'Neill's 1 for 3, a 4th inning double. High fly ball to shallow left. Giles toward the line, ball carrying into the corner and finally out of play.
Well, that surprised me from Paul O'Neill. He got a good pitch to hit, but he was late on it. He got a pitch to hit, but just late. 2-0 fastball.
The wind is blowing across the field from right to left and pushed that ball out of play. Giles thought he had a play on it when it first left the bat.
See, that's a good pitch to hit. Fastball in the middle of the plate, so Jim Poole had to challenge him. Look at that. Fastball right in the middle of the plate. He was just a little late, and he knows that he should have done more with that pitch.
Chase back. He stole 30 and was caught only 6 times during the year. The 2-1. Another pop into shallow left. Vizquel back along with Fryman. Vizquel has no play.
Well, he made a mistake there because he called Fryman off. Fryman felt like he could catch it, and Fryman could have gotten to the seats quick enough that he may have been able to catch that ball before it hit over the seat in the seats. And here's Fryman. He's moving over. Now Vizquel calls him off. Now he doesn't get over there. And see, that ball is right there in the first row. If Fryman gets there, see, Fryman could have gotten to the seats and been waiting for the ball. Vizquel is not going to get there. Maybe it, may not have had a play, but at least he would have been there trying to make a play. I think Vizquel underestimated the wind.
A rare Vizquel mistake?
Yes, mental anyway, because Fryman thought he had a chance.
Jeter again, easily back.
What do you do if you're Jim Poole? You've got a guy who's thrown him 4 straight fastballs. He was late on the last 2, but he's seen 4. Do you try breaking ball and possibly go to 3-2 where they can start the runner, or do you come after him again with a fastball? I think you need to go after him again with a fastball.
Left center field. Giles on the run to the track, makes the catch. And Jeter goes scampering back to first.
O'Neill hit the ball well. That was a fastball, and I think he needed to go with a fastball because you can't let him start the runner by going 3-2, and he was late on all the other fastballs. You throw him a curveball, he might pull it. Fastball, that was in a little bit. He knows he didn't hit it well. It got on his hands a little bit. He knew that it wasn't going out of the ballpark or going to be over Giles' head. And Jim Poole is not sure. Now he knows as soon as he sees Giles stop out there, he knows that he's going to be able to make the catch. And as I suspected, I guess they're going to bring someone else in to pitch to Bernie Williams.
Looks like Shuey coming on as we step aside. '28-year-old right-hander Paul Shuey comes on. 5-4 for the year. We saw him briefly last night. His ERA 3 on the nose.
Well, he threw the ball well last night, a good fastball, but now Jeter has an opportunity to try to steal if he can get a good jump.
Williams is 1 for 3 at a 7th inning single. That started the Yankee rally, which tied the game. He came across on Brocious' hit. The 0-1 to Bernie. A ball and a strike. Last half of the 8th. 1-5-0 Cleveland. 1-5-0 New York. Jeter at first with 2 down. There he goes. And Alomar can't find it. He steals it easily.
And that's a smart play for a couple of reasons. I mean, you go, even if they throw you out, you have Bernie Williams leading off the 9th inning for you. So I think you have to attempt it in this situation. He gets a good jump, picks the right pitch. Alomar trying to rush, was not able to make a throw.
Actually, it hit Ted Hendry's leg. Otherwise, it would have gone to the backstop. I don't know if Jeter could have made it to third, but that would have at least been a possibility. Time is called with the count 2-1. Three balls and a strike.
Well, this is a tough pitch to call right here. Do you want to go after Williams 3-1 with Martinez on deck? Martinez has not been swinging the bat well, but you know the percentages are in his favor that he's going to get a base hit sooner or later. So do you challenge Williams here, or do you go after him with a breaking ball and let Martinez be the guy?
Full count.
Fastball on the inside part of the plate. A good pitch in that it started off the plate inside and moved over the inside corner. Starts inside and moves right over the inside corner for strike 2.
The 3-2 pitch. Rolled foul. With 2 out and Jeter the runner. Any base hit to the outfield gives the Yankees the lead. Regardless of how cleanly it's played or how strong a throw might be, and as you see, the outfielders are deep. Again on 3-2. But first, Shuey wheels around and looks Jeter back.
A lot of times pitchers do that because they were not comfortable with the way they grip the ball or with the pitch, and they step off. And see, that's why he starts all over again. I don't think he was comfortable with the pitch, so he just kind of faked at second base to start over again.
Now he comes home and walks it.
And he crossed up Sandy Alomar Jr. After that, he stepped off to get a new sign, and then he crossed him up, and that's why Alomar Jr. is going out to talk to him. You can see the way that he caught the ball that he was looking for something else. Now watch Alomar Jr. how he catches this ball. And watch, you'll see that he, right about there, he realizes it's not the pitch he's looking for, and he drops down. Then he looks at him and says, "What was that? That was not the pitch I called." So he goes out so they will not make that mistake again. They may even change the sign. A lot of times with a run on second, use first sign. and the second sign after that, or you hit your shoulder and say the second sign after this. You use indicators by touching some part of your equipment, and the next sign is the right one.
Now Martinez, long overdue. Rolls one foul. Oh for 7 in this series. Didn't do much against Texas either. 3 for 18 in this postseason. After batting .281 with 28 homers and 123 RBIs for the year. The 0-1 pitch. Outside 1-1.
And if you're a good hitter as Martinez is, I mean, every time you make an out, the percentages are in your favor that you're going to get a base hit the next time up. I mean, it's just weird like that.
2 balls and a strike.
I don't know. Alomar's, I don't know if it's the movement on some of these high pitches or what, but he seems to be having trouble focusing on the last 2 pitches. He kind of reached for them rather than catching them.
Yeah, he is blinking kind of strangely back there through the mask. The 2-1. Cuts and misses.
That's a beautiful pitch right there. Ball moving away from Martinez. Looked like a good pitch to hit, 2-1. And watch the movement on this pitch. It just moves down and away from him, and he can't handle it.
Martinez against Shuey, the 4th Cleveland pitcher. Nagy, Reed, Poole, and now Shuey. The count goes full, and the runners will take off. Both are speedy. Jeter from second. Williams from first. 57,000 plus roaring. Tie game, bottom of the 8th. There they go, and here it comes. A swing and a miss, and Martinez comes up empty yet again. We've played 8. Totals even across the board.
NBC's coverage of the American League Championship Series is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By new Ocean Spray Wellfleet Farms Cranberry and Granny Smith Apple, we only pick the best fruit. And by Sun America, the retirement specialist.
Game 1 of the National League Division Series begins about an hour from now on Fox. The way this is going, we could have games going on simultaneously, which is what the remote control was made for. Then we're back Friday night, game 3 from the Jake. Cologne against Pettit. This game tied 1-1. Cleveland hoping to tie the series at 1-1. On comes Rivera, not with the lead, but in a tie game as we start the ninth. Thome struck out 3 times against Cone and can't catch up with the first one from Rivera. Rivera worked 3 1/3 in the division series against Texas. Hasn't pitched in 5 days. And comes on in game 2 in the ninth.
And this year, Bob, his strikeouts are down, and the reason for that is because he's used more sinkers, more sliders. He used to just reach back and throw the ball as he did here the first 2 pitches, and you get a lot of hitters chasing that high fastball.
The 1-1 pitch line right back to him, and he reaches out to snag it. A blur, but Rivera somehow reacts and records the out.
Well, it's a fastball, the cut fastball, and he lines it right back through the middle. He just kind of reaches out and says, I got it. Nice play.
Now Travis Fryman, who's 1 for 3. The starters who pitched so brilliantly, Cone and Nagy. Each will wind up with a no decision. In the hands of the bullpens now. Fouled off by Fryman.
Let's do this in full speed and you'll get a better appreciation. Listen to that boom, boom. That's and he smiles. You get a better appreciation in full speed. Not much time to react.
Inside 1-1. Fryman hit 28 home runs during the regular season. A chopper foul. You mentioned Rivera's strikeouts being down. I mean way down. A couple of years ago, when he was the setup man for John Wetland, he averaged 11 strikeouts per 9 innings of work. This year, about half that, 5.3 for every 9 innings of work. Still 1-2.
Well, again, he is more of a pitcher now than he was before. Before, when he was setting up for Wetland, he'd come in the 8th inning, he'd just kind of blow guys away, and Wetland would take over in the 9th. Now, every once in a while, he pitches more than 1 inning, and he has more than 1 pitch now.
A high fly ball, left field line, with home run distance, but foul. A team like the Cleveland Indians has an excellent core and then fills in around with youngsters coming up and with guys like Fryman, whom they pick up perhaps just for the short term, even though they're very good players. It was Matt Williams who preceded him. Then they get Fryman to play third base. They've got a kid on the farm named Russell Branyan, who's a third base prospect that people rave about. And if in fact they feel he's ready in a year or two, a guy like Fryman is valuable trade bait.
You can see Rivera there. He went with a breaking ball after Fryman almost hit the fastball out of the ballpark. Another little cutter. Well, they're trying to check and see if they use the same balls here that they use in Cleveland.
And maybe see if Rivera had done anything to the baseball. Scuffed it in some way.
He throws too hard to do anything to the ball. It probably wouldn't work for him anyway.
Doesn't need to at this stage. When he's old and weary, maybe he'll try to cheat. Still 2-2 as Fryman hangs in. In modern baseball, the best organizations, Schuerholz and Company in Atlanta, Hart and Company in Cleveland, the Yankee organization, they've got the core and they're always maneuvering at the edges. Enough money to spend on free agents if they spend it wisely. A productive farm system and enough veteran guys to make deals. Full count.
Slider. The one thing I'm noticing here about Rivera, with Tommy, he threw 2 fastballs really up and out of the strike zone. He's had 2 strikes on Fryman, and none of the pitches have been up. That's the way he used to record all of his strikeouts. Seems like he's throwing more strikes now. He used to throw that high fastball, man, and no one could catch up with it. Like that.
Just like that.
I don't know why it took him so long. I mean, you can't hit that pitch. I mean, the high fastball from Rivera was his strikeout pitch, but all the other fastballs he threw, they were around the belt. This one is up, and you can't catch up with that one. Fastball up, you can't hit it. And so that's the point, but the other ones were all around the belt. This is how he recorded his strikeouts 2 years ago.
Giles 0 for 2 with a walk. Fouls it straight back. Scheduled hitters in the New York ninth: Raines, Spencer, Brocious. Boy with his coaches Stottlemyre and Randolph. When a guy throws hard, Like Rivera does, you see a lot of fouls straight back like these last two. Trying to work a perfect ninth. Like most closers, Rivera doesn't have that many decisions. 3-0 for the year with 36 saves. But he's in a spot where he might be the winner if he can close out this inning and the Yankees can score for him in the bottom half. You can see from Torre's expression that the Yankees have been made to sweat for the first time in the postseason today. Another foul straight back.
And there's the high fastball again, up, but he got a piece of it. See, this is a good 0-2 pitch right here. The hitter can't hit this pitch. The best he can do is what Giles does, and that's foul it. See, that pitch up there you can't hit. He was lucky enough to foul it.
Again on 0-2. This one sails high.
And most times you can't hit the high fastball, most hitters, because they drop their hands just a little bit to get them started, and then you can't get them back up in time to handle that high fastball. That's why the high fastball is so effective.
Another foul. Giles can't get on it, but he's managed to get a piece.
And the good thing is, if you watch him, it's because he's not dropping his hands. You can see Fryman dropped his hands. He couldn't get back up to it. And watch where Giles' hands, he does not drop his hands. See where they are? They stay there, right there. See, they stay up there, and that's why he's able to foul it. Most hitters, their hands drop just a little bit to start the bat, and you can't get it back up in time.
Broken bat and a foul ball. Giles is left with the splinters as he walks back to the dugout.
This is a cut fastball. He starts and watch, it starts on the inside part of the plate, moves way in, and all Giles can do is get it right by his hands. And that's not a slider, that's a cut fastball, which means it's almost as fast as his fastball, only it moves in at the last second.
Even with the batting gloves on a chilly day like this, how does that feel?
Well, anytime they hit you in your kitchen, it hurts, because usually you jam your thumb a little bit. You jam the bat back into your thumb. See, what they call a cut fastball now was a true slider years ago. That's what they call a slider. It's on the same plane as a fastball and just moves in a little bit. What they call throw as a slider now is really a half curve, a slurve.
The 1-2 pitch, another foul ball, this time off his foot. This has not been a comfortable at bat for Brian Giles.
But he's saying, I'm still alive, and that's the main thing. I was down 0-2, and I'm just staying alive. That one right off of his right foot. That's why you have that shin guard there. A lot of those sliders down and in, you hit them off your shins.
He continues to battle. In this ballpark, Giles can be especially dangerous. He hit 16 home runs as a platoon player. There's the porch in right. It's pretty tough to turn on one against Rivera, but Giles might.
This is a great left-handed hitter's ballpark.
Rivera's thrown him 8 pitches. He's fouled 7 of them off. One more.
Well, he's tried just about everything. The high fastball, he fouled him off. The cut fastball, he's fouled him. The only thing he hasn't done is try to throw something up and away. Most of these pitches have been middle of the plate in. He's been able to foul off. Now he moves outside, and there it is.
Called strike 3. For all of his pain and trouble, it's just a big K for Giles and a perfect ninth for Rivera. Tim Raines had just about owned Charles Nagy in all their previous confrontations until today, when he faced him 3 times and struck out all 3 times. So he's happy to see anybody but Nagy out there as he leads off the 9th. Shuey back to work. Called strike.
When Tim Raines was younger, he was one of the greatest leadoff hitters in the history of the game because he had a good eye, he was a switch hitter, and he stole bases. He was just a great base stealer. So he is now more of a hitter. He doesn't steal as many bases, and he's not running as well because he has a sore knee.
1-1.
That's the pitch that Nagy was getting him out on the entire ball game, that curveball breaking down and in.
Cleveland may take this one, but still we have to remark on the Yankee pitching. In 5 postseason games now, they've allowed 4 runs total.
But you also have to comment on the other team's pitchers. They pitched well too, except for 1 ball game. I mean, the Texas pitchers pitched well. The Cleveland pitchers today have pitched well. Yesterday was the only game where it was really kind of a blowout. So pitching has dominated, you know, the American League playoffs to this point when it involved the Yankees.
Nagy gave Hargrove a great effort today. Now Shuey falls behind 3-1. Shane Spencer, who has been Mr. September and early October, is on deck. The 3-1 pitch is a chopper, could be a tough play. It's Fryman on the run. Safe.
Well, Tim Raines can still run when he can smell a base hit. This was a chopper, and he knew that he had a chance of beating this out. So when he comes out of the box, he is really running. This is a tough play for Fryman. It would have been a tough play for Vizquel as well. But Fryman tries to cut it off because he thought that was his only chance. But watch when he cuts it off, he's not in a position to throw. He has to take an extra 2 steps before he can throw it, whereas Vizquel was coming straight in. He may have had a chance. And Tim Raines gets out of the box quickly, and he says, I'm going to beat this one out.
Here's something you never would have heard until a few years ago. A pinch runner for Tim Raines.
Right.
The lightning fast Homer Bush. At age 39, Raines had enough to beat that one out to open the ninth. Here's Spencer.
He showed he could do everything else. Now can he bunt?
Here goes Bush, diving in with the steal.
You know, when you talk about manager of the year and all those things, Joe Torre's name doesn't get mentioned nearly enough. This is a smart play. They think he's going to bunt, so what does Homer Bush do? He just takes off. That puts all the pressure on the defense. The throw is almost there, but Vizquel makes the swipe tag. This is Vizquel making what just a nice catch and tag, but you can see that Bush is in there. But that was a very smart play by Joe Torre to do it on the first pitch.
Now, do you keep the bunt on?
I would, and I think Willie Randolph just called Spencer out of the batter's box to make sure that he knows what Joe Torre wants him to do.
Excellent throw by Alomar that almost got Bush.
Well, he had to get rid of the ball so quickly that he bounced it, but a nice play by the shortstop Vizquel, but he didn't have a choice. He had to get rid of it quickly, and he did make a good throw under those circumstances.
Rochus on deck. 1-0 pitch, no sign of the bunt, and the breaking ball drops in. Spencer has hit the ball hard all 3 times, singled, line to right, and flied to deep center.
I'm not sure if they figure Spencer can bunt or what the situation is, but normally in this situation you bunt. Good curveball.
Spencer behind on the count, 1-2.
And that was a good sinker. Shuey has a good fastball, and he showed him a good curveball. Now he showed him 2 good pitches.
Now that Bush is in scoring position, Torre and Zimmer figure they'll just take 3 cracks at the base hit that could win it. Rochus, who's on deck, had an RBI double his last time up. Girardi is in the hole. The 1-2 pitch. Spencer goes down swinging.
Well, the only thing I can think of is Joe Torre thought he was going to get a fastball after this steal because it was ball 1 and they had showed bunt. He comes back with a curve, good sinker. Here's another one, good sinking fastball. That ball moves away. Now you have a situation where I would walk I would walk Brocious and try to get a double play to get out of the inning. As I said earlier, I thought they were going to bunt, but you know, Joe Torre chose not to. I like what's happening here from Cleveland's standpoint. I would walk him and try to get a double play with Girardi.
It's Shuey's game. The Cleveland bullpen is quiet. And now, this turn at bat, Girardi will be called back. Right. And here comes Posada.
And this is what Joe Torre was saving him for. You know, you don't want to shoot all your bullets in the 7th or 8th inning. You wait because you know it may have to go to extra innings. I still must admit I'm a little surprised that they did not bunt Spencer, but I don't know how good a bunter he is.
So Torre goes to Posada after Spencer couldn't come through. Obviously, if the game goes to the 10th, Posada becomes the Yankee catcher.
And no one's throwing in the Cleveland bullpen, so Shuey's going to either get out of this inning or he's going to lose it. There's the Indians bullpen. Everyone's sitting.
Posada had 2 hits last night, one of them a home run. For the season, 17 homers, a batting average of .268. Shuey's pitch is a ball. Knobloch, the leadoff man, will be next. Posada hit into 14 double plays this year. Considering the fact that he divided time with Girardi, it's a fairly high number, indicating that if he hits it on the ground, you can double it. The 1-0. A called strike.
And if you're thinking about a play at the plate, only Ramirez in right field has a strong arm for the Cleveland Indians. Giles and Lofton are accurate, but not very strong. And Ramirez has the shortest throw anyway because this is a short porch in right.
1-1 pitch is a bouncer to second. There's one. Vizquel turns it, and we go to extra innings. Shuey and Hargrove get what they hoped for. And we roll on in the Bronx. The 10th starts with a matchup both Alomar and Rivera remember well. Game 4 of the division series. Last year in Cleveland. Yankees a few outs away from advancing to the LCS. They're up 2-1 in the 8th. Alomar with the opposite field home run just beyond the leap of Paul O'Neill off Rivera. It ties the game. Vizquel's hit in the 9th wins it. The Indians even the series and then win Game 5 by a single run and move on, ending the Yankees season.
That's why today's game is so important. The Indians have played well in Cleveland, and if they could go home 1-1, it's a different series. If they go down 2-0, it's going to be tough to come back against the Yankees.
And it wasn't just the homer, as you saw. Sandy's 5 for 9 lifetime against Rivera. Tomorrow is an off day, and that perhaps figures into Torre's thinking, bringing Rivera in as he did in the 9th in a tie game. And now we'll see how long he lets him go. Alomar will be followed by Cora and Lofton. Sliced foul. Sandy has not been the same hitter this year as he was a year ago. Apparently he broke his back. He had 24 homers last year. Had the year of his life. MVP of the All-Star game in his home park at Jacobs Field. A souvenir for a Yankee fan. Big-hearted of Alomar. Guy's wearing a Yankee jersey. Gives him the cracked bat. Huge numbers in the postseason for Sandy last year, as the Indians made it all the way to extra innings of Game 7 of the World Series. This year, bothered by the knee, hit just .235 with 6 home runs. Let me amend that home run total. 21, not 24 a year ago. The batting average was .324. A soft liner caught by Jeter. I think the Goodyear blimp doesn't work overtime. We go to the 10th, and they remain hovering above. Cora's 0 for 3. A called strike to him.
Well, I think if you're Joe Torre, you have to decide if this is the only inning you're going to go with Rivera. That means 2 innings if he gets out of this. Or I don't think you can go 3 innings because you have 1 day off and you may be needing him on Friday.
Martinez to Rivera covering. 2 out in the Cleveland 10th.
But Joe Torre knows how much he can throw and how often he's able to come back. So we'll see. I don't think you say I'm going to stay with him until we win or lose this ball game. I don't think that's the case. And it all depends on how many pitches he throws, because that's one of the ways that they gauge Rivera, is how many pitches he throws in an outing.
For the moment, nobody up in the Yankee pen. Fastball up and into Lofton. Kenny looking for his first hit of the series. In the bottom of the 10th, the Yankees will send up the top of the order: Knobloch, Jeter, and then O'Neill. Lofton trying to get on somehow, some way, and then probably try to run himself into scoring position. A broken bat looper. Jeter in his tracks tucks it away. Rivera has faced 6 hitters and retired them all. Yankees come up with another crack at winning it in the 10th. Moments ago, Rivera getting up off the Yankee bench and heading for the clubhouse. He pitched 2 perfect innings through 32 pitches, and now he's done. Once this went to the 9th in a tie game, obviously as the home team, the Yankees, who now have Stanton throwing in the bullpen, weren't going to face a save situation. So Torre used him with the game tied, used him for 2 innings. He hadn't pitched in 5 days, off day tomorrow, 32 pitches, and that's it.
Yeah, you couldn't use him more than 2 innings. I just could not fathom him using him more than 2 innings, because he may need him again on Friday in a save situation. This is where Knobloch was one of the best players in the league when he was with Minnesota, leading off in a tie ball game.
Cora from near the second base bag, close play, and he gets it. So Knobloch wears an 0 for 5 collar. A righty and a lefty working now in the Cleveland bullpen. Dave Burba, the right-hander, and Paul Assenmacher, who seemingly has been around forever and can still be effective from the left side. Jeter is 1 for 3 with a walk. He had a first inning double. Shuey is the 4th pitcher Hargrove has used. 0-2 0-2 to Jeter.
Jeter thought this pitch was high. You can see the ball starts outside and kind of moves back over the plate.
Shuey got the last out of the 8th, survived a scare in the 9th. Works with 1 out and the bases empty in the 10th. And the count holds 0-2 to Jeter. The approach is a little bit different for the visitors in this game. Mike Jackson, who saved all 3 of Cleveland's victories against the Red Sox in the division series, held back in case they can get a lead in the top half of an inning. Off the corner, 1-2. In the air to right, Ramirez takes it rather effortlessly.
Well, he's really improved a lot in the outfield. He's worked hard and improved on his defense. Years ago, they said he was lackadaisical in the outfield, but he's actually improved a lot. And he cruises over. Doesn't catch it above his head like they would teach you to do, but makes the catch anyway. Half Willie Mays right there.
Hargrove to the mound. He's got Assenmacher ready. Takes the ball from Shuey with the dangerous O'Neill coming to the plate. So with 2 out of the bottom of the 10th, Shuey's done and Assenmacher makes his way in. About 3.5 hours of baseball have been played at Yankee Stadium. Nothing decided yet. Paul O'Neill is the hitter with 2 out and nobody on. And the 5th Cleveland pitcher is 38-year-old Paul Assenmacher.
Well, Assenmacher's main job in the Indians' pen is to get out left-handed hitters, tough left-handed hitters. He throws a lot of sliders, a lot of breaking balls, a variety of speeds on it, and a fastball. There's a breaking ball. He throws 2 or 3 different breaking balls.
Third base umpire Tim Welke says that O'Neill committed himself. Strike 1.
Let's take a look here, and that's what Tim Welke saw, and it looks like he was correct.
Assenmacher has been in the majors for 13 years. The Indians are his 5th team. 1-1. He's appeared in well over 800 big league games, and all but 1 of them out of the bullpen.
That's why he has lasted so long. I mean, he's a specialist. Gets the left-handed hitters out in tough situations.
If he loses O'Neill, Bernie Williams, the switch hitter, is on deck, but as we've noted, he's a more dangerous hitter right-handed, and they had the righty Burba warming up.
They also have Mike Jackson up throwing now as well, Bob. He's throwing him 3 straight breaking balls. You mentioned he throws a lot of breaking balls. That was Jackson closest to you. Another breaking ball.
And Paul gets under it, skies one to shallow right. Ramirez comes in and will play the 11th. And the notorious O'Neill temper flashes briefly. Back to the Bronx after this. Omar Vizquel will start it in the 11th. He's 1 for 4. Here's what he did his last time up. Against David Cone, he slices one down the left field line. The diving Shane Spencer can't get it. It's barely fair. It becomes a 1-out triple. But then Cone, bearing down, faced his 2 most important hitters of the day, and he got Justice and Ramirez to ground out weakly. He got out of the inning, preserving the 1-1 tie, and that's where we stand with the starters Cone and Nagy long gone. Now it's Mike Stanton, 31-year-old veteran, has always been outstanding in the postseason. In 28 career postseason innings, he's allowed only 2 earned runs. He's pitched in the postseason with the Braves, the Red Sox, the Rangers, and the Yankees.
He's always had a good fastball, and he started developing a changeup that he uses a lot now.
Switch hitter Vizquel batting right takes a strike. Well, some of these fans might have thought 4 o'clock start, come out and see an LCS game, get home or to our favorite restaurant in time for a nice dinner. Not turning out that way. But I don't see anybody complaining.
It's a very good ball game. I mean, a lot of things have happened. It's only 1-1, only 11 base hits, but there have been a lot of moments in this ball game. A lot of key at bats, a lot of key pitches.
In October, a hot dog and a pretzel taste better anyway, with the pennant on the line. 2-2. Stanton, who works from the stretch, brings it home, and Vizquel spoils it. Justice will follow, and then Ramirez. The much-used Jeff Nelson getting ready just in case.
And Vizquel content just to foul those pitches off. That pitch is fastball away. Couldn't do a lot with it. All he's doing is fighting it off and fouling it down the right field line.
Something was thrown on the field, and the ball boy had to go to retrieve it. That's the reason for the delay.
The easiest play he's had today. All those caroms he's tried to play down the right field line.
Another 2-2 pitch. Just off the corner, full count to Vizquel.
93-mile-an-hour fastball away. As I said, Vizquel was just spoiling the fastballs off the on the outside corner. That one's off the plate outside.
Pop back and out of play. One run, 5 hits, no errors for Cleveland. 1-6-0 for New York. The Yankees won Game 1 behind David Wells 7-2. Tied at 1 in the 11th in Game 2.
Vizquel doing a good job of staying alive and fighting off some tough pitches from Stanton. Stanton was away, and then this last pitch inside, and he's still able to fight it off and foul it back.
And we'll do it once more. Still 3-2. Hargrove outwardly placid, churning inside. You'd think a man whose team has won 118 games would look a bit more jovial, but not in the pressure of this one. And Vizquel tries to turn on one, but gets under it. Let's see if it stays in for Spencer. It will. So finally, Stanton gets Vizquel. As Justice steps in, we remind you that Game 3 is on NBC at 8 Eastern Time, 5 Pacific, Friday night, from Jacobs Field in Cleveland. Scheduled pitchers Bartolo Colon and Andy Pettitte. The question is, will the Yankees have a hammerlock on this series, or will the Indians get out of here with a split and have the next 3 at home and suddenly have the Yankees worrying a bit?
This is truly a big game. I mean, it's kind of like a 2-game swing during the regular season. I mean, if either you're 1-1 or down 2-0. 2-0 is almost impossible to come back from. 1-1, you actually have the advantage because you're going home for 3 games, and you play well there.
Well, a number of teams in postseason play, playoffs or World Series, have come back from 0-2, but seldom has it been a team going up against the likes of the Yankees.
Very difficult task, though, when you get down 2-0 mentally as well.
A ball and 2 strikes to Justice. He's walked, homered, beat out an infield hit, and then with Vizquel at third and only 1 out in the 8th, he nubbed one in front of the plate, and Girardi threw him out. Then Cone got Ramirez on a comebacker and preserved the tie. Still 1-2.
Probably the key pitch in this entire ball game was the changeup that he threw to Davis Justice on a 3-1 count, and David Cone got Justice to hit it off the end of the bat and dribble it back to him with the go-ahead run at third and less than 2 outs.
The 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Justice has always hung in well against left-handed pitching. It was against a left-hander, now his Cleveland teammate Jim Poole, that he hit the game-winning homer in Game 6 against in the World Series in '95 when Poole was with Cleveland and Justice with Atlanta. Braves won that Game 6 behind Tom Glavine and Mark Wohlers 1-0. Sandy Alomar Jr. Rolled to Knobloch, who charges and takes care of Justice. The right-handed hitting Ramirez is the next hitter. Torre to the mound, intent on making a move, we'd guess.
Well, Ramirez has been their best hitter power-wise, in the postseason, and Joe wants to decide whether he wants Jeff Nelson to come in to pitch to him or Stanton to go after him in a certain way.
Stanton's smiling.
He said, "Hey, I can get him if you let me. If you want me to get him, I'll get him."
Well, he didn't take the ball right away, but eventually he did.
Stanton's saying, "Well, you shouldn't have asked me."
Exit Stanton. Enter Nelson. Mike Stanton retired the 2 hitters he faced here in the 11th. Vizquel and Justice, and now it's Nelson to try to take care of Ramirez. Here's what Ramirez did last night in the 9th inning against David Wells. His team trailed 7-0, but he did spoil Wells' bid for a shutout with a long home run just inside the foul pole and left that made it 7-2.
$12 home runs in 41 postseason games. That's
3 of them this year. This is his 6th playoff game in '98. That's nasty. Strike 1.
And I think if you're a hitter, the first pitch you should try to take it anyway, just to get a look at where Nelson is going to release the ball from, so you can be able to pick up the next pitch.
This guy is no bargain for a right-handed hitter.
A lot of people say, well, you bail out because he drops down sidearm. I don't think that's the case. What happens is you're used to looking for the ball in the 3/4 spot up there, and you don't see it from there right away. It kind of wakes you up, and then you do have a tendency to bail out.
Two and one.
One thing that Nelson does, he steps toward third base a little bit, but then he doesn't really come sidearm completely. But he's so tall that it looks like it's sidearm.
Tomey on deck. That is just wicked. 2-2.
Well, he got him into a fastball count, and he didn't throw a fastball. There's 2 balls and 1 strike. Drops down and throws him a breaking ball over the outside corner.
Can't quite finish him off. Full count. Stanton yelling his disapproval toward plate umpire Ted Hendry, but Hendry has heard it from both benches this afternoon and now tonight. Down goes Ramirez. Punched out by Hendry and Nelson both. Another chance for the Yankees to take a 2-0 lead.
Goldman back at Yankee Stadium. Ted Hendry's strike calling has not been popular in the Cleveland dugout, as you may have just heard. And the last pitch, the 3-2 to Ramirez, was the least popular of the calls, especially with manager Mike Hargrove, as the 11th inning, top of the 11th, ended. A simple shake of the head no. Bob, up to you.
Keith, thanks a lot. Against Assenmacher, it's Williams, Martinez, and then Homer Bush technically is in the DH spot, having run for Raines back in the 9th. First one to Bernie. Rolled foul. It was in the 11th inning of Game 1 of the American League Championship Series 2 years ago between the Yankees and the Orioles that Bernie Williams delivered a game-winning home run, batting right-handed. As I recall, it was off Randy Myers. Gave the Yankees a 1-0 lead in a series. They eventually won in 5.
And made a hero out of Jeffrey Meyer, right?
That was the same game where the kid reached over and grabbed the fly ball that Tony Tarasco was about to catch, hit by Derek Jeter. It was ruled a home run that tied the game, and Williams eventually won the game. 0-2.
Assenmacher turns the fastball over for strike 2.
That one's definitely outside. 1-2. Some of the others, it's anybody's guess. Down and in, 2-2. Maybe we could take a look at that graphic again. This year, in the course of winning the American League batting title at .339, Williams pretty much evened things out in terms of production left-handed and right-handed, considering the fact that obviously you get more left-handed at bats. In the past, there was always a big difference, especially in the power numbers. A disproportionate number of homers hit righty. He swings and misses and is a strikeout victim to open the 11th. Now the slumping Tino Martinez.
Well, first inning he grounded to his first time up. He grounded down the first base. He pops it up, and those were pretty good pitches he had to hit. Giles takes this one. He chased a breaking ball in the dirt in a clutch situation, so he is not seeing the ball well. When a hitter goes into a slump as he's in, it means that you're not seeing the ball well out of the pitcher's hand, because the last time when he struck out, that pitch never started in the strike zone. So it means that you're not picking up the ball quick enough.
One and one. Chili Davis has moved into the on-deck circle, and he'll bat for Homer Bush. There's the veteran. Bob Costas and Joe Morgan at Yankee Stadium, bottom of the 11th, game 2 of the American League Championship Series. As you can see, knotted at 1. Inside to Tino Martinez. 2 balls and a strike. The Yankees won game 1 last night, 7-2. Those of you in a good portion of the country who might have tuned in at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, expecting to see Dateline, hold on. Extra innings here at Yankee Stadium. Bounce foul. The executive producer of Dateline, Neil Shapiro, has been in the booth for this entire game. A huge baseball fan. And while he hates to see at least a portion of his program preempted, if it's for a playoff baseball game, he knows the cause is right. The 2-2. A full count. And Martinez swings at ball 4. And all of a sudden, after another productive regular season, finds himself mired in a slump.
Well, again, he must not be picking the ball up well. He takes a breaking ball that he could have hit for a strike. Then he chases one, takes a close pitch outside. Now here's the 3-2 pitch, breaking ball, and he chases it out of the strike zone. Dave Burba is going to be the new Cleveland pitcher.
Well, Ossenmacher struck out Williams and then Martinez to begin the 11th. But Burba will be asked to conclude it. So Burba becomes the 6th Cleveland pitcher as we check with Jim Gray.
All right, Bob. Well, it had been a jovial atmosphere down in the Yankees dugout most of the game. Of course, they had won so many of their games so easily. They'd only given up 3 runs. Now they've given up just 4 runs in the 36 innings, the 4 postseason games, and they had won rather handily. Now it's a very serious dugout. I think what's happened here is they recognize that they're in for a series. Let's go over to Keith Olbermann.
Jim, the introduction of Dave Burba into this game almost secures Dwight Gooden as the 4th game starter, because the options for Mike Hargrove, although he had officially named Gooden as the starter, he was still considering Burba as a possibility. He could conceivably bring back Chad Ojai or even go to Jarrett Wright, but he said earlier he wouldn't bring Jarrett Wright back before his scheduled turn, which would be game 5. So with Burba coming on here in the 11th, it virtually guarantees you're going to see Doc Gooden facing one of his old teams, the Yankees, on the 4th game on Saturday night. Let's go back upstairs to Bob.
And Gooden pitched well at various times this year for the Indians. Tossed out in the 1st inning of his division series start for disputing a call at the plate by Joe Brinkman against the Red Sox. And it was Burba who came out of the bullpen in that game and really saved Cleveland by turning in an excellent long relief stint. Coming to NBC 1 week from Saturday.
Wish for, boy. Wind on Water, 1 week from Saturday on NBC.
You see, this is a network with a wide spectrum of entertainment. You got something like Wind on Water, or perhaps you'd prefer Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. There's something for every taste. I see you nodding solemnly.
I agree with you. I was trying to figure out which one I was preferred at this time.
Chili Davis now will bat left-handed. He had 291 for the year and just 103 at-bats. All 3 of his home runs were hit right-handed in 50 at-bats. Burba trying to send it to the 12th. Davis would like to end it right here.
When the Yankees acquired Chili Davis, you know, everyone said it was going to make them that much better, a better ball club, and it was going to make them a better ball club, except he was injured a lot most of the season, and it gave other people an opportunity to step up, and they did so.
Whacked through the middle, base hit.
Burba throws a sinker away, and Chili lines it back through the middle for a base hit. Fastball sinking away from Chili, and he just rips it back through the middle for a base hit. See the location by Sandy Alomar Jr.
And Davis's work is done. The young reserve outfielder Ricky Leday comes on to run for it.
Ricky Leday.
And technically, he'll become the 4th different Yankee to occupy the DH spot. Raines, Bush, Davis, now Leday. And look who stands in. Burba to Spencer. Ball 1. Shane struck out his last time. 1 for 4 overall. Hit the ball hard his first 3 times up. One and 1. Shane Spencer has had 3 at-bats against Dave Burba all this past September. He homered twice. One pitch. 2 balls and a strike to the Yankee left fielder.
And you see Dave Burba trying to keep the ball away from Spencer and down. I'm not sure he has good enough control to throw 3 pitches low and away for a strike.
Now Spencer can afford to sit on one if he likes.
And Burba, trying to make that pitch low and away and keep the ball down, is now into a situation where he just about has to give Spencer a pinch to hit. Otherwise, you walk the winning run into scoring position.
The 3-1 pitch. Swung on and hit high in the air to center field. But Lofton has a play. To the 12th. This is the 4th straight year in the postseason for both the Yankees and the Indians, and in that span, each has had its triumphs and its bitter disappointments. The big difference is the Yankees did win it all once in that stretch in '96. That puts everything else in a different perspective. And then there's the Yankees' overall history of winning 23 World Championships. Well, the Indians haven't won one in 50 years and went from 1954 to '95 without any postseason appearances. That makes the near misses, especially last year in a '95, more bitter for Indian fans. Nelson to Tomey in the 12th. 1-1 the count.
I actually thought at the beginning of the season that the Indians had the best ball club, you know, this year, and that they were going to have a good shot at winning the World Championship. Not that they don't now. I still think they have a good chance, but I thought they were going to be like the Yankees, win 100 ball games this year.
Nelson ahead of Thome, 1 and 2. You saw the Indian bench, most of them sporting the rally caps, turning them backward. Mike Hargrove has made liberal use of his bullpen, but hasn't used any of his bench players. All of his reserves that he had in the first inning still available to him in the 12th. The Yankees are down to just 2 guys on the bench, Soho and Curtis. A liner to left, in for a leadoff hit. So Thome's 1 for 5.
Well, Thome finally goes the other way. They had been pitching him inside almost the entire ball game. And he gets a pitch tailing away from him from Nelson, and he lines it to left field for a base hit. Good hitting there by Thome. That pitch is moving away, and he reaches out and pokes it into left field for a base hit.
And now one of those reserves we mentioned comes on. It's Enrique Wilson to run for Thome.
Your attention, please.
Al Bumbry is the first base coach for Cleveland. Now, do you ask Fryman to bunt here?
They haven't followed my advice all week, so I don't know. But yes, I would bunt.
For the record, Fryman didn't sacrifice once all year.
You've got a tough right-handed pitcher out there on the mound, and this is a big game. You need 1 run. I mean, if you have confidence enough to send Wilson from first base and hit and run, that would work as well. But I think you have to try to get the go-ahead run into scoring position. I mean, you've only scored, 3 runs in 2 games here. Sometimes you have to help your offense. And this is a way of helping them to score a run by putting someone in scoring position.
Giles is on deck. Way outside. Here's Keith Olbermann. Keith.
Bob, after Jim Thome came out of the game just now for the pinch runner Wilson, all the Indians players got up off the bench to greet him and shake his hand, and as everybody returned to sit, the chant went up, same seats, same seats. There's no superstition at all in baseball.
I believe that was Eddie Goodell's cap atop that bat. Midget pinch hitter sent up by Bill Veeck in the early 1950s when he ran the St. Louis Browns. Eddie's cap on loan from the Hall of Fame. Either that or some sort of voodoo ritual being carried out here in the Indian dugout. Fryman squares to bunt and gets it down nicely. Martinez with the flip to first, safe. Now the Yankees are going to contend as the ball rolls away, and Wilson's being waved home. He stumbles. They may have a play on him. He slides in safely all the way to third. Goes Fryman. The Yankees are going to contend that Fryman was in the baseline, or out of the baseline, and got in the way of the throw.
But it was a very poor play to let that ball roll down there while you wait for an umpire to make a decision. You have to go after the ball. You can't let the ball roll 10 feet down the right field line and no one go pick it up.
The Yankees were so concerned with disputing the play that nobody pounced on the ball.
Exactly. Well, the play has to be called, in my opinion, by Ted Hendry, not the first base umpire John Shulock. That's Hendry's call, and he did not make the call.
It's a great bunt by Fryman, which not only serves as a sacrifice, but as you see, has a chance to beat it out. Martinez might have gotten a bit of a late break. It's going to be a close play. Knobloch covers. The ball hits Fryman. There's nothing wrong with where Fryman is, despite the Yankees' contention. Well, now Knobloch just stands there.
Yeah, he's letting the ball roll and everyone's running. Now, if you look back at that play, he was running inside the baseline. But when the ball hit him, he was not inside the baseline. So we have to, I mean, that's a call that Ted Hendry has to make. In his opinion, did he interfere or not? And they're discussing it. Now watch, he is definitely in the path. He shouldn't be there. But now watch where the ball is. Now look where he veers out. I mean, you have to be able to touch the bag. He runs over the bag. but it's going to be, I mean, that's a judgment call on the part of Ted Hendry.
I guess the Yankee contention would be that at the time that Martinez fielded it and made his throw, Fryman's position didn't offer him a throwing lane because he was on the infield
you have to hit him in the back
of the baseline.
You have to hit him when he's in that lane. Well, he is definitely where he shouldn't be. If they hit him right there, there's not going to be any doubt about the call. But Ted Hendry made the decision that he didn't interfere with the play.
So Zimmer and Torrey settle back in, and Cleveland suddenly is up 2-1 and threatening for more. The Yankees have to pull the infield in. The go-ahead run almost didn't score because watch Wilson, the pinch runner. He comes speeding around third, and then he stumbles. Newman is sending him home. Look at him. He's flopping toward the plate.
He makes a good slide.
Comes in on his belly, and they take the lead.
Whether Ted Hendry made the right call or not, if you go after the ball, there would have been runners at first and second, but no one chased the ball.
The ruling is sacrifice, E3. Wilson scores. Giles with a chance to knock home an insurance run.
See, I told you they should have bunted. A lot of things happen when you bunt. No, but I think you had to take a chance if you're the Indians to get the go ahead and run in the scoring position. And Fryman made a great bunt, not a good bunt.
A ball and 2 strikes. Alomar will be next. Called strike 3. And now Giles jaws a bit at Hendry. But the Indians, in the overview, can't really complain. They've had their gripes about balls and strikes, but the most controversial play of the game has gone their way, and they lead it 2-1.
Well, if you watch when he bunts the ball, he is running, but a right-handed hitter automatically starts inside the baseline. Now you see he's running out toward but he runs a long time in the baseline. And now there's the ball rolling down the right field line, and no one is chasing it.
And now Alomar is hit by the pitch, which ricochets and gets Hendry. And the fans roar their approval, not of Alomar being placed at first, but of Hendry taking a bruise.
Well, fastball in, and he just turns his back so it doesn't hit him in the stomach, and he hits him on the hip, and it gets the umpire as well, and out comes the Yankee trainer. He's going to check. But Hendry says he's okay.
Fryman is at third. Alomar now is at first. And Joey Cora, who has just 1 hit in the postseason, steps up. The infield still in for New York. And now they've got him trapped off third, but there's nobody there. Nelson with the bluff, and Fryman was coming down the line, and had Brocious been back at the bag, they've got him.
Well, you can see right there the squeeze was on, but because of the defense, the way it was set up, no one at third base to take the throw from Jeff Nelson. And quite naturally, the Yankees pitch out.
Steve Palermo, longtime American League umpire and long regarded as one of the game's best, happens to be at Yankee Stadium and was watching the game from our booth. And when we get a chance, we're going to replay the Fryman bunt and let Steve comment on the call. Virtually a pitch out. It's 2-0.
I think the Indians need to make sure they get this runner home however they do it. Because the Yankees are such a good ball club, you have to try to just demoralize them by getting at least one more run.
Rochus, Posada, and Knobloch are the Yankee hitters in the bottom of the 12th. Same maneuver by Nelson. Three and one with Lofton on deck. Jeff Newman, the third base coach. Nelson's 3-1 pitch. The bases are loaded. And now let's go back to the play that may have broken this game open as Torre heads for the mound. Steve Palermo has a microphone. And Steve, you can comment. Fryman will lay it down.
Well, the initial thing that Ted Hendry has to look for, he's got two responsibilities here. He's got to judge this ball because it is close to the line, whether it be fair or foul. You have Girardi blocking his view to a certain extent. He's got to come out in fair territory. And Fryman right now in that position, he is out because he's out of the 45-foot lane. So he can be called out on that play. The rule calls that one or both feet must be on the line or inside the 45-foot lane. If you are astride the lane, then you're to be called out. If you're outside the box entirely, the 45-foot lane box, then you ought to be called out.
Is the fact that he veered back toward the bag and was in line with the bag when the ball hit him in the back, is that relevant?
That's the only problem with the rule, the way that it's written. At some point in time, you have to come into fair territory because that's where the bag is located. The entire base is located in fair territory. So at some point in time, Fryman has to come back into fair territory. But here you can see from start to finish, by the time he leaves home plate until he arrives at first base, he was entirely inside the line. So you determine him to be out on that play.
Is there sort of an understanding that unless it's blatant, you let it go?
No, because there's no such thing as intentional and unintentional interference. It either is interference or it isn't. And that's how you have to deem it and rule it.
So you think Fryman should have been out?
Yes.
Joe Torre might think the same thing. The fact remains the Indians lead 2-1. Graham Lloyd comes out of the bullpen, and we'll be right back.
I mean, the way I see it, you know, assistant manager...
If you like Pringles, you'll love new fat-free Pringles. Because they're made with Olean. They're half the calories, zero fat, and so much like original.
We come back quickly and strike one to Lofton, who's 0 for 9 in this series.
Well, he's hit several fly balls. If that's what he needs right here. Or a base hit, of course.
The infield is in. Fryman at third, Alomar at second, Cora the runner at first. Lloyd has been very effective out of the Yankee bullpen. 3-0, ERA 1.6. Misses outside. His control is very good. He walked only 6 in 38 innings of work. Two and two. The Skell is on deck. Lloyd trying to somehow keep this a one-run game and give the Yankees a chance to get back into it in the bottom half. But Lofton lines it over the drawn-in infield. And the Indians pad their lead. Lofton on his way to second, and he's going to get caught there. That's the second out, but 2 runs have scored, and it's 4-1. On to third is Cora.
Well, excellent hitting there by Lofton, but not good base running. Because if he stays at first, it's still 1 out with a runner at third. You better try to get as many runs as you can, but good hitting here. 2 strikes. He fights this high fastball off from Lloyd, and with the infield drawn in, he hits it so hard they did not have a chance to react. Good job here by Spencer. He comes up and he fires to second base. Knobloch's waiting for Lofton, and he tags him out.
Not before 2 more runs score, making it 4-1 in a wild inning.
And those runs were very, very important. I mean, you do not want the Yankees to only have, go into the bottom of the 12th inning with a 1-run lead.
These are all professional players, and it's their job to put things behind them. It's a long season. It's the nature of baseball. I don't want to overstate this, but this is the kind of defeat that sticks in your craw and would take some of the psychological advantage the Yankees enjoy in this series away. Not all of it, but some of it. Nubbed in front of the plate. Lloyd throws Vizquel out. And we're back after these messages from your local station. Goodyear Blimp has remained airborne for 11.5 innings. But some of the air has been taken out of the Yankees balloon for sure, in a crazy top half of the 12th that sees the Indians score 3. And now they have occasion to call on their closer, Mike Jackson.
Well, Mike Jackson saved all 3 games in the Boston series, and he's out there to try to save this one to get the Indians back to 1-1 and going home. And as I said, the momentum would be in their favor going home, knowing that they can handle the Yankees in Jacobs Field.
They ran for Tomey after his single start of the 12th. That means a new first baseman, and it's Richie Sexson, who played there last night. And it's quickly 0-2 to Brocious. Well, Tino Martinez continues to have a very rough time. 0 for 4 in today's game. Failing to come through in a couple of situations where he could have helped the Yankees with runners in scoring position. And then it's Tino who's charged with the error on the Fryman play. Although Knobloch didn't help matters by failing to chase after the loose ball.
But you know what is great about this Yankee team? They don't point fingers at each other. And they will say, if they lose this ball game, they say, we lost. And tomorrow, Friday, we will have to do better. And that's what makes a great team. You don't blame each other. You just say, hey, we lost. Because there are a lot of things that could have happened differently in this ball game, before this point that could have changed the outcome if it remains a Cleveland win.
Fouled off, still 1-2. Enrique Wilson, who ran for Tomey and scored the go-ahead run, remains in the game and plays second base. So there's an entirely new right side of the infield with Cora and Tomey gone and Wilson and Sexson in. After Jarrett Wright failed to survive the first in game 1, Charles Nagy came out here in game 2. There's Wright, and gave Mike Hargrove a heck of a performance, keeping them in the game against David Cone until they could finally push 3 across in the top half of the 12th.
Well, David Cone pitched great. Nagy pitched great. I mean, this has been a well-pitched ball game on both sides.
And once more, Ted Hendry infuriates a hitter. This time it's Brocious, which is not to say that the call is wrong, simply to say that a lot of people in both dugouts have been upset, and you can add Torrey's name to the list.
That's a pretty good pitch right there from this angle, but you can't really tell. But again, with 2 strikes, I think you have to go after some of these pitches. With 2 strikes, If it's close enough to be called a strike, then I think you just about have to swing at it. But you're seeing Brocious, he's very upset, saying the pitch is off the plate outside.
Now Posada. In his lone at bat, he grounded into a double play to end the ninth. Hit sharply to short. Vizquel, he's automatic. 2 gone. And the boos are for Knobloch. Fans getting on him for failing to chase that ball after it hit Fryman in the back.
One thing, you know, a player has to do is always, I guess, go after the ball. Knobloch thought he was going to get the call. He didn't get it. But again, if that ball stayed on the infield, and if you chase the ball, the worst thing would have happened. They'd have had runners at first and second.
You can always argue the call later. 2-0. Well, his teammate David Cone, today's starter for the Yankees, had an embarrassing moment when he was with the Mets. Remember that play? Covering first base, he argued a call, and while he argued with the first base umpire, I think it was against Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, runners just kept on going. Two and one. On a strike. We're told, speaking of Atlanta, that it's raining at Turner Field, and the Padres and Braves have to wait for game 1. Full count to Knobloch. He and Jeter have to reach to give O'Neill a chance as the tying run. Hit sharply, and it gets by Fryman. He seems to be in the middle of one mess after another.
I don't know how they're going to score this. I thought Fryman had that one. And they're scoring it as an error. I mean, here's the line drive. I thought he had it. Well, it's right there, and they give him an error.
So Knobloch and Fryman, in a strange way, remain linked in this game. Chuck's liner could have ended it. Fryman couldn't make the play. Now it's Jeter. If he reaches, O'Neill will be the tying run. Four, 7, and 1 for Cleveland. The error a moment ago by Fryman. 1, 7, and 1, New York. But the 1 is huge. The error in the top half of the inning. One and 2.
And this is what we talked about at the beginning of the ball game, Bob. If the Indians were to win, and that's why Joe Torre was concerned. The Yankees had only won 1 game in this series, and everyone thought it was over.
Called strike 3, and that is a fitting punctuation to the game. A called third strike by Ted Hendry, and Torre sits motionless on the Yankee bench. So the Cleveland Indians go back home tied in the series. And Game 2's Chevrolet Player of the Game is Charles Nagy. A no decision for him, but without his fine work, it's doubtful Cleveland would have come away from New York with anything at all. Oberman receiving congratulations. It was his bunt, and a good bunt. He did his job. It would have been a good sacrifice bunt. But then when Martinez's throw hit him in the back and bounced away, and the Yankees argued it as the ball trickled along the infield, the pinch runner Enrique Wilson scored all the way from first. Fryman himself wound up at third. Subsequently, with the bases loaded, Kenny Lofton singled home 2 more, and the Tribe wins it 4-1. One more look.
Well, again, it's a great bunt, and you can see Tino Martinez gets a late break on it, but he gets there in time. Here's the throw. The ball moves in and hits him in the back, and Ted Henry doesn't make the call, but look at the ball rolling there, and Chuck is just standing there while everyone is running.
Let's go to Keith Oberman.
Thanks, Bob. I'm with Travis Fryman. Were you inside or outside of the baseline?
I was probably in it just a little bit, but on that particular play, the bag is in fair territory. And your last step of the bag, you have to come back into fair play. And by the time I touched down is when the ball hit me. So, and you're entitled to that last step. So I personally feel like they made the right call if you look at the timing.
The run, though, after you placed the bunt down, were you squeezed out by the catcher trying to make the play? You seem to be on the grass on the way up the first baseline.
Well, normally I will. I mean, I start out inside the grass and then cut back in when I saw I was going to be able to get by Tino, and I tried to straighten out a little bit. But, you're in front of the box anyway when you bunt. You want a little more fair territory to work with, so I scooted up a little bit. So your first few steps are in fair territory.
Well handled, Travis Fryman. Bob, back to you.
All right, Keith.
Well, a wild one in the Bronx. It took 4 minutes and 28 seconds to decide it. Cleveland comes out of New York with the split. Burba's the winner, Jackson the save, Nelson the loser. We'll be in Cleveland on Friday for Game 3 of the ALCS. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on NBC. I was about to tell you that NBC Tonight starts with Dateline Wednesday. I imagine that's still true, though we've gone past 8 Eastern. You'll follow it. You'll find out what it is. Third Rock, News Radio, Law & Order. All great shows for Joe Morgan, Keith Olbermann, and Jim Gray. I'm Bob Costas. So long from Yankee Stadium.